pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good job, Ken. Could I have roll call, Mrs. Dawson?
Mayor LaPorte.
Here.
Trustee Connor.
Here.
Trustee Barker.
Here.
Trustee Garrett. Here. Trustee Floyd.
Here.
Trustee Clerk Barkle. Here. Temporary Superintendent Sullivan.
Here. Thank you, Mrs. Dawson. We have two sets of minutes of meetings in October. I'd like to do one at a time. Of our board meeting of October 4th. Would there be any corrections or additions to these minutes?
Yeah, I have a couple here. Our discussion last month on our phone bill, or not phone bill, but our phone upgrade system. We made a motion and a second, and then I noticed it's not added into our minutes. And I guess all motions, open meeting minutes must contain record of summary of all motions, proposals, resolutions, and any other matters voted upon, and the actual vote. So we made a motion by Trustee Poyer, second by Trustee Barker, and all approved, but it's not in our board minutes. That'd be under Trustee Poyer's comments.
What was the motion?
For what?
The motion was for the phone system.
To do what with phone system?
We've got the van that we would go ahead and purchase the phone system that we talked about last month for $3,200.
Well, we did not vote on that. Offhand comment was made about that.
Well, actually,
no vote was made on that.
There was a motion made. Matter of fact, Donna asked
who seconded
that. And Albert said Trustee Barker did, and also agreed that yes, this is a good thing because of the amount of money we got to spend in the van. Absolutely.
Yeah. I watched the tape last evening. It was on the tape, but it's not in the board minutes. So if that correction could be made. If you check the videotape of last month's meeting, you'll see it. It's in there. Also, when we talked about our Energy Alliance Power Supplement agreement, we also did a roll call vote last month on that. What we have in our minutes is the board approved unanimously that we would go ahead and stay with the rate we had. But we did make a roll call vote. That should also be recorded in here. I believe it's 3-1.
I wasn't here.
Right, exactly, you weren't here.
Yeah, I voted against it.
Right. Mayor, myself, and Trustee Poyer also, we agree. So if you could add those in, that's the only two I could find.
And with those corrections,
So moved.
do I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. And we have the minutes of our October 18th meeting. Would there be any additions or corrections to this minutes? And if not, could I get a motion to have them accepted as written?
So moved.
Second. Motion by Trustee Eric, second by Trustee Connor. All in favor? Aye.
Abstain.
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 Okay.
Two.
Abstain.
All these minutes are accepted as read.
Now, at this time, before we go into our general session, presentation of petitions, communications, notices, and general questions period from members of the community. Who at this time, I'm sure there are people here who would like to address the board.
I'll go first. Pertaining to the former Stumble Inn, I'm wondering if the board is going to approve our 30-day waiver so we may apply for our temporary liquor license.
That is on correspondence.
We were hoping that would have happened last week, but unfortunately the meeting couldn't take place. It's kind of set us behind a week.
I did talk to our attorney, and I did talk to the state liquor authority. And it's, the village can waive the 30-day waiting period if they desire. Just a formality.
Right. I'd like to point out at this time to the village board that we've cleaned up the property and made a lot of changes. It's going to be a nice social spot for all concerned now versus what it was at one time.
I'll make a motion, we waive.
Second.
Motion by trustee Connor to waive the 30-day waiver, seconded by trustee Barker. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you
It's nice to
very
have
much.
a new business in the village.
Yes, it is.
Thank you very much. I'll convey that to my partner and proprietor, and thank you again.
Good luck.
Jeff, do you know if you need something in writing to go with that?
It would be nice if that could happen,
But you need a
yes.
certified copy of that resolution.
Yes. How soon could we possibly pick that up?
Tomorrow.
Pardon me?
Tomorrow.
That'd be perfect. We'd like to apply.
Yeah.
We were
I
set
think
to
that has to go
go.
with it.
Okay, what time could I stop by?
No, how soon is that?
Perfect.
Okay.
Thank you very much again.
Yep, how about you?
You too.
Right.
Okay, I got a question up at my mom's house, Beverly Kennedy. I met you and Mr. Sullivan over there the other day, and I was wondering when is the work going to be completed around there? Or is this going to get going?
Where is this?
Up on 18 Moore Street?
Moore Street, Canal Street.
Yeah, right why the road is.
I think you'll find some information in Robert Sullivan's work about that.
I think at the time I asked you if you would write a letter. Do you recall that? Yeah, you know, would have made life a little simpler.
When it says in here, Mr. Kennedy from Moore Street thinks he has a water main leak under his property. I met with him, or while I do not believe there is a water leak at this location, a call to New York Rural Water to get an expert opinion from them may be in order. They have some very sophisticated detection equipment, and we are members of this association. There will be no cost for this consultation. We will, however, have to schedule personnel to assist the circuit rider.
What makes you think there's a leak?
The property's sinking.
I was up there today. I went up and visited with the neighbors and the people, the residents in that area. We definitely have a problem up there. It hasn't rained in weeks. You could walk across their property right where our water lines go, and I mean, you can sink your heel right into the wet dirt. There's some places around there, there's a foot, you know, where the ground's just sinking down. All around the telephone pole, you can slide your hand right down along the telephone pole where everything's washing away underneath there.
So it's washing underneath the soil, letting the top drop?
And then the top of the ground is just dropping, it keeps concaving. Well, they've got a swimming pool right next door. This water is obviously traveling underneath the dirt somewhere. You know, as a plumber, water finds a crack, it'll just follow that. So something is really desperately wrong up there.
Didn't we just put a culvert in up there, right?
No, we just did a patch,
Did a what?
just
A
a
patch?
shake to
Right.
it.
It was a broken culvert? I mean, could that be what's causing this underwater thing?
No.
There was a break or not?
No.
No.
There was
That
no
was
break?
dry.
And
That
then
was dry,
Culvert's
yeah.
dry.
the other problem we have with that is underneath the road is the old culvert system. It's a 3 foot by 3 foot culvert system. Everything now, there's a stream across the road. Everything that comes down from the Pears Mills Road, from the Customs Road, runs down, connects into there, dumps into that stream. The stream runs into this area by Moore Street, and then we went from a 3 foot pipe to an 18-inch pipe to accept all this water. Now, according to the residents now, it rains up there, and when they get water so bad, that even where our drain is, it gets so full of water, the water comes up above our drain and then runs down the street. So,
But was that due to that pat? What
What
was
kind of
involved
culvert's
with it?
underground there?
That
it's
was-
an old
that
fashioned,
was
well,
the
you
day
guys
I
had it dug
got
open.
Yeah, I
It's
don't
an
remember.
old, the original culvert, it's a 3 foot by 3 foot rock structure that was built square.
It's concrete, it's all concrete.
Yeah.
It's rock, concrete
Just
structures, not
concrete
anything,
core.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, in 22 years, I haven't seen water come out of that.
Well, I just talked to the neighbor this morning, and he told me just in springtime, you know, we talked to your neighbor across the street from your mom's house.
Yep.
And he said there's such a puddle right there in springtime, the water just comes right out of that. I mean, it's just covered, and there's absolutely no
think,
reason for that.
I think with, have
Just
you been able to get hold of anybody from New
No,
York?
I'm just waiting for your guidance. if
Now, you
want.
didn't think there was a leak, and what made you think that?
Because leaks usually manifest themselves by bursting through the top.
Where do you suspect this water's coming
I
from?
think it's groundwater.
Groundwater?
Yeah, I really
Water
do.
table or?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think very much like you're saying, you know, you've got all this accumulated landmass area that, even though it's very slow, water travels through the ground very slow.
Yeah, the rest of the property is dry,
Yeah.
except for that
Well,
one
it's-
area.
What's a washout up at the top of an electric pole? What's the deal with that? I mean.
It's all, yeah, I mean, you can slide your hands underneath there, it seems
Oh,
like
he's correct.
probably the only thing holding that pole up.
I mean, wetlands, I guess, what I'm saying is wetlands wouldn't cavitate due to earth removal, due to flow. Wetlands are wet. Cavitation and erosion comes from movement of water, not just wet land. So what I guess what I'm saying is if there's
You could well have a
cavitation,
spring or something of that nature someplace in the area, but I can't see it. They dug the hole
Well,
beside
when
it.
they put the new water
beside the culvert
system
was
through there, some
quite dry.
places where they put wooden,
abutments to hold the
to
water back.
hold the wall back,
Yeah.
and it's probably like down by the Champlain house where the sidewalk collapsed, the wood rotted and the sidewalk started to collapse. It does have a swale in there.
The thing
I
is,
did
In front
feel
of,
that
in front
swale
of,
in a number
in
of
front
years
of the
ago.
fire
Yeah,
hydrant,
it's wet. right
there's there's a valve box there, and there's a little bit of water in front of the hydrant in the valve box,
On top of the ground?
on, down below, by the front of the hydrant, right behind the hole, but over down the road where it's lower, there's not a bit of water in the thing. So if there was a leak in the pipe, the water would follow the pipe,
As a rule.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But
you have that much. you
they
don't
had
much
that,
water
I went to
available.
Albany and I saw that machine they had work. They come and they put it on 2 pinpoints, and it's just like a screen, and it'll come right to a thing, and it'll give the line right where the leak is.
So how long will that take?
To get it set up, you can find the leak probably in an hour right there, is to get it set up.
So then
See,
what
our-
do we-
Because they made a leak down there, and nobody knew about where it was.
Mhm.
The municipality made a leak, and that guy came out with his machine, and he set it up.
Okay, I make a motion, since there's no cost for this, and we're a member of this association, to go ahead and give superintendent the authorization to move forward with this and find out what's going on.
You go from there before you dig up all the ground over there, right? You gotta have nice to come home,
Let's
follow
find
that
out.
hole.
This is the biggest problem with this issue is, they've got a swimming pool that's 8 foot from this area that's washing out or getting wet. Now, what it's doing, it's undermining the underneath of their swimming pool. Now, this is a $22,000 swimming pool, am I correct, from, what, 8, 10 years
There's not a
ago?
leak
No,
in the pool?
2 years ago.
2 years ago.
There
Now
was
what's
ground.
happening is the bottom of the swimming pool, now this is a concrete swimming pool with
It's
a
an
concrete
in-ground,
bottom.
in-ground pool?
Yeah, the bottom of the pool is starting to collapse. So something's running underneath there to where the bottom of their concrete swimming pool is
I
collapsing.
make a motion
This is-
to move forward and at least get that
Right.
checked before we start
Second.
digging.
yeah, we need to do
Let's
that.
find out if there's any.
Motion to have, New York State, rural water come up and test. Did we get a second to that?
Second.
Second to that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. You have direction, Mr. Sullivan.
Thank you.
One way to go.
we still have some other drainage issues to deal with down there also. You know, that where that drain's supposed to cross the road down there on Canal Street, there isn't nothing. I guess we can't find it.
There's a pipe there,
drain there,
we
but
will
we
find
can't
it.
find it. It's buried.
There's a
Another
gully.
thing is, as our water runs downhill, there's supposed to be a drain hole there. There's not. It was covered up with sidewalks.
No,
and
it's deeper than that, that's a lot deeper. I know, because we put that in there.
We've got to get that dug out for that water to run down, then go underneath the street
We
and
started
back
that.
into the river.
We started working.
Yeah, I saw where you
That
dug.
cement slab that's there with them cement sidewalk slab, that was just to hold the water to it down because it was washing out the side of that road. There's a culvert beyond that
So
that goes
way
on an
below
angle.
all that
It's
mud
deep.
and
It's deep.
And the elevation of that from the inlet to the outlet is, as you know, correct. I would
It
assume.
always handles
Is it all
the water.
downhill?
That's a
Yeah,
dumping
down
area.
I think it's a 24-inch galvanized culvert that goes
We should
across
be
there.
dumping.
We know what brush dumping does in ditches.
Everybody throws their stuff over the side of the bank, and that's where you get your debris.
Yeah, we shouldn't be dumping brush in there at all. That should be cleaned out.
Okay, then, would anybody else at this time would like to address the board?
Yeah, what was the priority, and who voted to pave that road on Ashline Drive over there anyhow? I mean, there's worse roads than that. Nobody drives on that road.
Well, I think maybe the residents drive on that road.
Well, what's the benchmark you got on that, where there's more cars that goes on that road than South Street or Moore Street or Cedar Street or whatever, you know?
Well,
What made you decide, since there's more cars? I mean, that was kind of a waste of, I mean, they can drive that paver anywhere in the village here. I know that for a fact. They didn't just have to go right down there straight because they're working at that building over here. They could-
Actually, we couldn't plow it really much longer.
Huh?
We couldn't
Yeah,
really
but they
plow it
can,
much
and
longer.
within half hour, they can drive all over Champlain with a paver.
I think, Gary, I think what was going on, South Street, there was a manhole issue that really needed to be addressed. The priority of it was snow coming, yeah, it's good to get that one area fixed. Ashline Drive,
At the end, where
At
there's
the-
no houses and, yeah.
well, yeah, and I agree, there's no houses there, there is some traffic through
Well,
there.
if it's just to lay pavement before winter, that's, the priorities there is not there because that's ridiculous.
There's, I think.
Moore Street, I'm surprised the mayor didn't have his, every other mayor that had been in this village had their road paved.
Right.
Melissa Penfield, you know, and
I think.
Moore Street should have been done.
Just to, I mean, you being a taxpayer, resident, whatever, just to address that a little bit. When the issue first came up, we were in a transition period of superintendents. It was brought to our attention, kind of short notice. We went out, looked at it and whatever, and said, fine. The numbers came out right for covering a certain amount of area for a certain amount of dollars and whatever. To answer your question on what makes that first, second, or third, I guess every street should be first, number one.
Well, no, we can go in order.
Right, but I'm saying to prioritize, it's very tough. We want to get Prospect Street done too. We've been short of manpower all summer. There's been a lot of issues that we've crossed. So to say we had a number one street to do first, I can't say as though we did. When that issue came up, and there was an issue, at that point in time, everybody was in agreement. And then there's other...
That road, just to say that you laid pavement?
No, not just to say we laid pavement, because of the snowplow issue. It is a safety thing on South Street with the manhole. Okay, there's a manhole issue with a sinkhole,
Well, I don't care about the...
whether it's patched or paved or
Even
what.
that manhole covered, I mean, we talked to the contractor.
I mean, you
That-
paved around it anyhow.
That culvert's gonna continue to pop up every single
Yeah.
year
On Ashland.
on Ashline Drive. The thing I've got with Ashline is, we were asked to make a poll vote over the telephone. Now, everybody will know tonight by
that legal?
reading your statement that it's correspondence number 18. I went to Nikon to find out if this was legal, because I've got questions about how we do stuff. First thing is, you cannot vote on any single issue in the village or anywhere else in the government over the telephone. It's not legal. That's first thing. Second thing, as road commissioner, I knew nothing about this. I got a phone call, somebody calling me up and asking me if I would want to vote to pave a road. We had no contract for this road, and you know it. Me and you went over there and spent 6 hours with this guy, trying to figure out how wide, how deep, how long is it gonna be. If it's gonna be turned in for CHIPS money, he's gotta have a 10-year guarantee, because we can't touch the street after 10 years. Okay? I was told it was an emergency. According to NICOM, our handbook, it does not fit any of the criterias. All 3 criterias for emergency roadwork, it doesn't fit one of them. I've got problems with the legality and the way we pave the street. Now, we brought this to the attention of almost everybody in this room. We canceled this contract on the 25th after me and you sat with the mayor for 2 hours. Told him we had legal issues. We felt that I thought at the time, a phone vote was an executive session vote, which you can't vote in executive session to spend public money. After we decided, and on the 25th of October, we said this contract will be canceled. We're not going to do the road work. We went with incoming Superintendent Sullivan at 3:30 in the afternoon, the day he got here. Mr. Sorrell, our foreman for our Department of Public Works crew, was notified. Mayor was notified. You knew about it. I knew about it. The contractor knew about it. Suddenly, a week later, somebody gives permission to go ahead and pave this street without board approval. Now, you said you were following directions. Who gave you the direction to go ahead and pave that street?
The mayor.
The mayor did. Then mayor just got himself a street because we did not legally vote on this street.
You don't have to legally vote on it.
Oh, we don't. We don't
Not
have to
really,
legally
no.
vote on spending public money.
So the cost of the street should be paid by the mayor, is that not correct? I'm sorry to interrupt, but that's the way this whole
Right.
thing sounds to me.
Excuse me. May I speak?
Sure.
Since my name is getting out here. Trustee Poirier, did you or did you not shake hands with the contractor, Mr. Baker, over there?
That's right.
Okay.
I made a gentleman's agreement with Mr. Baker. That's after I got a phone call from, well, once we spent 2 or 3 hours with the guy. And I made how many phone calls to you that day? We tried to get Public Works crew ready to fix potholes and whatever. On the first attempt to pave those roads, based on a phone call vote, based on...
Which I find out is not a good thing.
Right, and that's when we met with you for 2 hours and said, geez, you know, this really doesn't work, we better look into this, let's make sure it's legal, let's not pursue this. The guy said he would come back, you remember me telling you that? The same
Right.
exact price, he will do 650 feet, 2 inches thick, 20 feet wide,
Right.
and he'll give me a contract.
Did you also
Which we know how to, we
Did
didn't have
you
a
meet with
contract.
that contractor with me on Monday at 10 o'clock on the 25th and tell him that we no longer will be doing this road work? And that he gave us a proposal and said he'd be willing to come back in spring?
Well,
or
the
summer
first
for the
problem,
same
the first
price.
problem is, we're gonna call an ace and ace here. You were here that morning to introduce the new employee to the village crew.
Right.
Instruct our foreman to go and cancel it. Say, geez, you know what? There's a legal issue, and we cannot get the town to haul for us.
That's it.
Somehow.
Right?
That's it.
That's right.
No
That's it.
details.
No
No.
details.
Drive
Don't
away.
get
We don't
into
have to.
details.
We don't have to.
Right now, we don't have the ability to truck it, and it's not fair for him to sit there and wait for us to haul trucks.
So we went over at 10 o'clock, we got a call from the office that said,
Well,
the
after this-
contractor wants to meet with us.
After
asked
this
us.
happened, Donna called me, said, "Geez, the contractor wants to meet with us." So I said, well, fine. I said, Barker was there when the transaction went on, we got the contract from him the first time, and so we thought was legal on a phone call vote. And had canceled. We went over to meet with him. The guy was very upset. I said, that's not the understanding I got. I said, I just thought you just didn't want to do it. That's what I was told, whatever. I said, listen, we're not here to upset any contractors here locally in the village. We want to do this. These are the legal issues. He says, I understand. I've been on a board for 15 years. Paul, do you remember him saying that?
Yep.
10 or 15 years.
Yep.
He's on a board in Plattsburgh. He understands. He says, you know what? Shook my hand again. He says, I'll honor that contract. We'll come back. It's not a big deal. I says, great. This is, you know, because I don't want any hard feelings, the whole thing. And that's after everybody was made aware that that contract was dead, done, and over.
And I went over there and told him the same thing Paul told me here that morning, and that's it.
Both of you
And he
guys
said,
went
I'd
over
like to
there.
talk to Mr. Poirier, and that's what I called
And you
Donna
shook
and
his
told
hand,
Donna
you
to
guys
call
were
him.
both for it.
Right?
That's right.
And
Right.
the weekend
That's
come
right.
and you did some more investigating?
Right.
We couldn't get
And we
Racine was
can't-
out of town. We depend on the town to truck this.
I also heard that you were interested in paving that. Is that a true, I heard that.
These rumors, why
No,
would,
I'm just wondering.
First of all,
Because
what
this
I'm-
guy told me that all the time he was on the town for, he owns his own contracting business.
Wow.
He lost hundreds of thousands of dollars because he could not be involved in anything like that at all.
Right. See, we didn't
And-
just jump into this. What we did was we spent 6 hours with this guy.
trying to make
Trying
it
to
work.
measure.
Trying to make this work.
Trying to say, listen, if this is a great price, then it'd be a benefit to the village. We were comparing price with what we did with Walnut Street and Cherry Street. We're trying to check all our prices, and we did. At first, it seemed like, how can this guy do this cheap?
The numbers were
And-
tremendous.
And then now we find out what he did wasn't really what he told us he was gonna do.
I don't think it's fair to put the blame on any one person here.
Who's blaming who?
No, it sounds like everyone's throwing mud back and forth here.
No, we're
Well,
saying
no,
the
I'm
facts.
trying
These
to-
are facts.
We
We're not
should be
pointing
careful
blame at
before we
anybody.
shake hands.
Well,
I mean, if you're gonna shake hands for all the board members.
No, Albert was informed up to that date, first of all. That original
That's a
contract,
binding agreement.
I called Albert
Yeah.
4 or 5 times
Wait,
that day.
that's binding.
True or
Sure
false,
it is.
Albert? How many times did I call you that day?
but we also.
Yeah, 'cause we were trying to
You
get
guys
this up.
changed 3,
How
4
many,
times.
how many ton of tar did
When
they put
did this
down? I
take
don't know how
place,
many
in
ton of tar
October?
they put down.
When did it take place?
What's that?
When did the paving take place?
Took place November 1st on a Monday. We canceled the contract with the contractor on a Monday before, which would be the 25th. No, actually, we canceled it on the 22nd when we met with Albert. Everybody was notified on Monday, the 25th, that there would no longer be any paving done at this price with this contractor. That was the last where we left it.
I'm looking at your correspondence from Nikon.
Yep,
Okay. I've read this and I think it's a good thing.
it is.
Fax inquiry of 11/2. And this was dated November 8th. You were only surmising at the time that you made the allegation that I couldn't pull the board until confirmation came in the 8th of November.
Well, actually, what I
Okay.
did, what I did, even though it's dated that way, I called Nikon, and I told Nikon, you know what? I need something in writing. I need you to write something
Well, I'm
down,
glad you
so I
did.
can show it to the village.
I'm glad you did, and it's here now.
I am too.
It's after the
So-
fact.
I
But the
didn't,
fact is, Albert, everybody spoke about it and we mentioned there's something, anybody here on this board can make a phone call to Nikon. This is the
Sure.
problem, without documentation, everybody looks at us like we don't have a clue what we're doing. We're done with this, give it to me in writing. But we verbally portrayed our information. We withheld no information from this board and went even to the superintendent the day he arrived. Brought him right up to speed on where we're at and what we're doing. Everything was done.
So what do you suggest that we do now?
What I suggest that we do is, withholding information is wrong. This has been going on constantly for I don't know how long. How long? I don't know. Everybody knows something, but nobody says nothing. Everybody will accuse somebody, but nobody will back it up. I've had it with it. There's no reason for this.
Well, I'm just
So
There's
what
none.
do we do with the street is what I'm saying.
well, how do we?
Apparently it's over this ash line in part of South Street.
First of all, that street, do you know how many footage of asphalt we've got? Anybody ever measure it?
I did, 10th of,
How long is it?
Did you ever get a contract on it? Because that's in our NICOM thing too. You do not do any negotiations without a contract in hand.
Can't-
I had a contract in
Can't
hand.
make a verbal contract.
It's illegal.
It's against the law.
that's illegal, anybody can say
All
anything.
these regulations, we follow this every year when we do a
This has
asphalt.
We
been there
should.
since Christ was born, I guess.
No,
Ash
but
line
do we
drive is
follow
how
this
long?
all the time?
532 and a
No,
half.
Do
we
it
just-
behind the Walnut Street?
No, we do what we want.
Why is it such a big issue now on that street?
We voted on Walnut and Cherry. That was voted on.
I think we need to go back.
Well,
and
it's a big
measure
issue
that.
because
Cherry was
there's
involved in
priorities.
so many feet of Cherry
Yeah, but
Street.
all the streets, you can't put it in.
Well, yeah, but that's,
I had
should have been the
to-
last
Yeah.
place.
Twice.
How many
You
months
might
have gone
wanna
by?
measure it again.
There's no houses on that
Every time it
turn.
was brought up, a long time
I've
ago.
measured
I measured
it.
it, the 10th of a mile, they
that.
could have did it from Zerl's right up to in front of Joe
Ah.
Ashline's.
Everybody, I guess we're having a discrepancy on Ashline Drive and South Street. I mean, we can complain all evening about it. Apparently, it's saying right here, November 8th, that the board can't be polled. Okay, I stand corrected, it's here. The issue is Ashline Drive and South Street. What do we do with it? is what I'm asking you now. Do we go and pull it up? Or do we leave it down and go on? What I'm saying is we can take this horse and we can beat it, but what do we do with it now?
Well, I just want to know how we were able to pave a street without any board input. How you were able to give the authority to the new superintendent to pave this street without asking anybody on the board,
Well, I
or
think-
getting a vote, or even going to the street commissioner, which
I
is
think,
me.
I think there's another thing in your information that you got. Did you read it all the way
Oh,
straight
I
through?
read it completely. I asked the
Okay.
questions.
So interpretation is, you interpret one way, maybe I interpret another way,
See what the
but I am
discrepancy
glad
is.
about one thing though. I'm glad that we've been doing this wrong for years. But that's okay.
I wouldn't be glad about it.
I
Well,
can't,
no, but I'm just
Yeah.
saying now we're corrected. That's good, that's good.
But we voiced that correction prior to the paperwork to back it and support it. That's the problem. Nobody listens. Everybody does what they seem to want to do.
Well, I think now that it's on camera, I think everybody knows now.
yeah, well,
Thank you.
8 months into office, I've got to find out what we're doing is either legal or not. I mean,
As a taxpayer, I don't think the tax money should be paid for this road. I think it should come out of somebody's pocket. I don't think the tax money should be paid for this road.
I don't think
Your
it's-
voice is heard.
It's a
not-
mistake from somebody, and
Your voice is heard.
many mistakes are made in this village, so
That's good.
they should
I'm
be
glad.
corrected.
I measured that road, Mayor, and it's a 1/10 of a mile. So I measured right in front of Mrs. Dawson's house, where the end of the village is. It goes right in past, right on the same line as Joe Rascal's. I mean, you could have paved the whole South Street. There's no,
You should be stand corrected. South Street starts from Church Street and goes all the way to our lines.
Okay, well, up to
I
Main
don't think
Street.
you could pave all of South Street.
Well, Main Street up to Joe Rascal. Well, I didn't say Main Street. I said Joe Rascal's.
Yeah.
A 1/10 of a mile you did. You wasted, whoever approved it.
I don't think there was any waste and
I
wasted
walked there all the time. I mean, who approved it?
Nobody approved it.
I walked there, I live right around the corner. There's worse roads, there's priorities.
Did you sign a sheet saying you approved it?
Did I?
Yeah.
Not with a legal vote, I didn't. I was told I was making a
You
legal
signed a
vote.
sheet of paper with me.
I sure did
We
sign
all
it.
thought it was legal. We now
it
know that we
wasn't.
made a mistake.
So-
Mistakes
so
were
now
made,
I
and we
guess it's done.
apologize. The street's been paved,
I
let's move
signed,
on.
I also signed
No,
a
well,
piece of
we just want
paper
to do it
saying
for
that I
next time,
approved
so
it.
to be a
Well,
priority.
we know that now.
That's
Okay.
great.
But what happened is they all
knew
said
it
this
then.
was an emergency.
Who
We
said
needed
this?
to-
Who said it was an emergency?
To get this done, this guy
Who
had
said
a
it was an
price
emergency?
for- Can you let me finish what I'm saying?
Okay.
Okay, thanks. That's the information I was given, that we had a price on getting this paved. It needed to get down before it got too cold. It was going to be covered totally by our CHIPS money. So it wasn't any money coming out of the budget for this. It was money that was already set aside for it. And then we needed a straw poll. So they called us all on the phone and we had to come in and we had to sign a piece of paper. I assumed it was legal. I was asked to do it.
Yeah, but why
And
that road?
I was told that was what
Why
was
that
chosen
road?
for the
Who
street.
picked that road?
Because of
We
the
all
issue with
did.
snow
We
plowing,
all
because
did.
the plow
Just
has to
for the
get through
record, I
there.
abstained from it. I did not vote.
Yeah.
Good answer.
That's great, John.
That's not our problem, though. Our problem is,
That's
yes,
not-
we did
we
sign
did.
that piece of paper.
We were under the
But
same
once we
impression you
canceled the contract with the mayor, with the contractor, and with everybody else, so was our vote canceled at that point. No contract, no vote.
And so did we portray our
That's our
information,
problem.
our new learnings, that this is not really the way to do a phone call vote. There's a gray area here. We've called NICOM, this doesn't work. But
Okay,
you
well,
know
I
what?
didn't get
Because
that
NICOM
as
didn't
far as I-
overnight FedEx it, nobody believes us. Nobody questions it. Every one of us here on this board, including the superintendent, has the opportunity to call NICOM at any given time. We are all a member. But nobody took that opportunity. Well, I can't, how many times can we say this over and over? You know, I'm not here to argue. How many times can a person show you a legal issue and you don't do anything about it?
Well, I think we understand it now. I think it's been driven into our head, and I think we understand it.
If someone else.
Again, I'm going back to the question, what do we do with South Street and Ashline Drive?
Okay, there's nothing you can do about it. Leave it there, but what was the fact finding to pave that road?
I think the board knew that it was.
I mean, what gives you the benchmark to
Well,
pave
Gary,
it?
I think that was
Because they were working to,
Well, originally, to
There?
do that area, the first time around, to do that area, we were all in agreement, less trustee Connors. Like he said, he wasn't aware or probably wasn't here, whatever the reason may have been, okay? So technically, and I'm not sure what weight this holds, would have been 4-0. So that vote,
to what, to approve it?
had it been handled legally, which nobody knew, and you know, if you don't know something, it still doesn't make you innocent, but if you don't know, at least there's an effort given.
So I'm asking, what,
We all decided it, this board did.
for that road, what gives you a fact finder to pave that road?
Somebody had already brought the information to us that they were working on this road.
They would do
The
that
only
area
reason
since they were
I
that close.
investigated
Oh, they were that close, yeah,
They
it's
were
one
that
of
close,
those
and those
lazy contractors, okay.
Every street needs to be paved, there's no question
Yeah,
about it.
but he
And
said
they
since
were
it was
that
close by-
That close with those numbers, and what he said he would do versus what we got, these were great numbers.
Well, you know,
Paul
they're,
and I worked on that
they
for-
talking about, you know,
I
that,
don't know how long.
Larry Trump, you know, they talk on both sides of their mouths.
I think we paved a street that we wouldn't have ordinarily got it paved for that price.
Now, is there a list with priority
I
roads?
think we got about
and least priorities?
$2,200 in that.
There is a road, okay. Cool. And that was number one now.
Just a fact on that street, now you say you walked that street. That corner was atrocious, do you agree? With the
Oh, there was
culvert.
a hump there, but
That needed some work.
have you walked Spruce Street?
Prospect.
I'm just saying, that needs,
Prospect.
that's been that way for years, and I agree, there are other streets.
I mean, it's priorities,
Mill
that's what I'm
Street,
saying. I don't care, you know, if it was paved,
And
no,
I
leave it
believe there
there.
probably is priorities that have been there for years.
But just because that
Yes,
contractor
For
didn't want to
years.
drive that
There is a
paver
priority.
a mile,
I think you could argue the point no matter what street you pave.
Right.
So it doesn't.
The problem is.
well, not really.
No, not really.
Not really, not that road. There's no houses. How many cars drives down that road?
It doesn't matter, it's still a street. If there's a fire down there and trucks have to get down there.
Okay, well, how
they
come you
have to
neglect
know.
Cedar Street then?
Gary,
Huh?
How come you don't fix that street up
That
next
was
to the river?
paved. That was
No,
closed
I'm
for
talking
how
about
long?
shoveling the sidewalks,
Fire
moving
trucks can't get down
the,
that one?
And you
what's
right
funny, Bob?
Gary, I think part of the point is that.
Jesus, whenever somebody
change the
disagrees
subject?
with you,
No, I thought we were talking
you're
about
like a
paving.
politician, you. When somebody disagrees with you, Bob, you don't like it. I mean, you can sweet talk the board, but you're not gonna sweet talk the
We were discussing paving,
residents.
not doing sidewalks.
Where was it?
What's this?
We were discussing paving, not doing.
I'm not talking about paving, I'm talking about how come you neglect Cedar Street, Bob?
Too many conversations.
Yeah, how come you neglect Cedar Street? You didn't pick up the sand over there. You don't plow the
I
sidewalk.
wasn't here.
You didn't plow the, well, Jesus, we gotta get you like in July to do it. How come you don't plow the sidewalks?
It's not on the priority list, but
Exactly. There's
nonetheless.
two businesses down there.
Nonetheless.
There's two businesses down
I
there.
think,
Nonetheless.
There's a bar and there's Eddie's hair salon.
you know, I think we need to, I think, I think this horse has been kicked enough. I really do.
Well, we just have to rebut Bob, because he comes here sweet talking the board, and now I said what I had to say to Bob.
Okay, then it's done. I mean, as far as I'm concerned.
As for
it's
that
done.
road. Next
I
week,
we
think,
should- I think we should thank
I
Bob.
think now,
huh?
I think we should thank Bob
Thank Bob for
for
what?
coming all the way down here.
I never seen him out with the workers. I always see him in here, in the secretary's room here, when he did work over a year ago.
It's too bad you only see that.
Nobody sees him out in our street.
You
Yeah,
don't-
because
you don't
sometimes
care.
I've seen him jump right in the plow truck.
Yes.
That's
Okay,
too bad that
first
you
of all,
Well, it's probably because he needed a ride.
I don't-
An argument for
We're
this.
having a pissing match.
No,
or nothing.
Let's get back to the paving.
Yeah.
Yeah, please, let's get back to the paving.
Okay.
We have a lot more issues this
On
evening.
the paving, when they give the quote on the paving, because I wasn't here, I left, I went away. How many tons was that $2,250 for? Was it for 150, 160 ton? How many ton did he actually put down?
Where's the contract?
Do you have a contract?
Who has a contract? Anybody?
The day I went over, he had a contract with your name and Paul's name on it.
He's got a
And-
proposal.
Proposal.
Okay, for how much? For $2,250?
650 feet of road, 2 inches thick and 20 feet wide. Ash line is not 650 feet long. Okay?
There's a major
So the
discrepancy in
proposal
footage.
he gave us doesn't even match what he did. So I don't know
And-
what
and
kind of,
that-
I
Does
haven't
that have
seen the
South
new
Street on it?
contract. There, he's South Street and Ash line.
Right, that's the.
But if we look at our CHIPS money, South Street's not on our CHIPS money. Only Ash line, and of course, we'll get to this later, because I'm gonna bring this up. But Cherry Street and Walnut Street were done. But Cherry Street's not on our CHIPS money, but Walnut is. So, I mean, I don't know how we did that either. We'll be discussing this later. But he gave us a proposal for 650 feet, 2 inches thick, 20 feet wide. That's not even close to what he did.
And he said he would come back under the same agreement and whatever. That was the first time around, and then we found out, we've got issues here, let's get this by the book, explain it to Bob, explain it to the mayor, everybody who was involved knew. Larry even did the dirty work of going out to tell the guy that, geez, hold off.
He told me, and it's written right on the paper that I give them right there, it was $15 a ton, and he would haul everything, but the town hauled 2 loads of tar, and we loaded 1 load of tar, and he hauled all the rest, and he left the truck at the quarry to get what we needed.
Well,
That's what he gave us. But I'm saying the contract was for...
He'd haul 40 tons.
45
We had to
tons of
haul the rest.
asphalt from Plattsburgh quarries to
Talking
the job site
150
at no
tons.
additional cost.
That's what he said there. But he said it was easier for him to keep a truck down there so that we don't get over what we
Where's
need.
it, do we have a contract? We don't have a contract.
What is it written on?
Do we have a piece of paper with his name on it? Anything?
Yeah.
It's probably a fly-by-night deal.
Do you have a bill?
Well, the guy's
It's a good
very
paving job.
It's-
Right.
It's a good paving job.
Probably we should have had him
We
come
have
up here
a,
tonight.
Look
we
at
have a legal pad with a
Professional
business
job.
card on it. That's not a contract.
That's our contract? This is my problem. We didn't do this legally. We didn't do this with a vote. The mayor approved to pave this street without anybody on this board's approval, and we don't even have a contract. If you read the NICOM questions I asked, you have to have a contract. It should have went up for competitive bidding. It didn't fit the emergency criteria for paving a street. It doesn't fit anything that NICOM says we have to do. So the whole thing was
It does
illegal.
not have to go to competitive bidding.
Hey, got any comments on
Does
the
not
other
did bidding.
have to go to.
Do we have to have a contract? Can you vote on an oral, I mean, you can read it.
It was
if you want.
obviously done. I didn't make the contract, so I don't know. I didn't make the agreement. I didn't shake his hand.
Right.
It seemed as though one of you two gentlemen did.
That
That's right.
contract
I
was
did
also
on the first
canceled.
original contract when we did the telephone vote. When all that was canceled, we start with a new
It was
slate.
canceled,
It was
very
canceled.
much the same as you're saying it was
It was canceled.
agreed to by.
The
the
guy
same-
was, I went right and seen him at 10 o'clock that day and canceled it, and he was fine with it. He
Yeah.
even said he would come back, because he's on a board too, and he understands the time it
That's
takes.
exactly what you
Not a
told me, he
problem.
would come back.
That's right.
If the trucks were available and the thing was prepared, he would come back.
That's
And
right.
That is the
Now we
assumption I
need,
went on.
and now we need to do this legally. That's perfect time to do this
Those
right.
words did not get said.
Okay, Paul, were you there? It doesn't matter, I'm not
Did you
arguing
understand that I had
about
a
it.
problem
It's
with
illegal.
the voting in the first place? Didn't I bring that up to
Well,
you?
you did.
Yeah,
You did.
that I thought it was an executive decision, and we can't spend public money on an executive decision.
I
So you
agree
knew
with
I had a legal problem with it. So did the mayor. So when we canceled the contract with the gentleman, so did we cancel any vote that was on that contract. We paved the street illegally, all the way from beginning to end. It wasn't approved by the board. We didn't follow any guidelines NICOM has set forth for us. None. We didn't even get paid the 650 feet that he gave us. I've got more of a proposal than you do. He didn't even do 650 feet.
I tend to agree with you.
Well, if you do the calculation on that sheet of $2,200 whatever dollars it is, that $15, how many ton is that? Oh, somebody got a calculator right there?
To do what?
Because I think he
Say
actually
it
put
again.
down 174 ton, so
You
we
lost
probably
in
own for
detail.
14 more ton of putting tar down. If you want to do it that way.
If you would have
If
put,
it's $15 a ton, I think we put 174 ton down.
I
And he
did
gave
it.
the quote for 150 or 160 ton.
I did a rough calculation on 3 inches. And the length I had, and that would have made 197,000.
It's right on the slip, so.
I know, but we have the bills to the asphalt.
So if it's 197 ton, we actually
No,
own
it
for
isn't. It's
37 more ton of tar,
170.
$15 a ton. Well, if that's
It was less than
apples
three.
to apples, it says right there, $15 a ton.
That's what it said.
What contract do we have? Neither contract was executed by anybody.
Not me. Paul came in, and I went over and told the guy just what he told me, and I left him wanting a trip, so.
Right. I know. Exactly.
We
We
don't
tried
have
to
the
make it work.
trucks, and we have a legal issue. Right?
Yep, that's just what I told him.
That's why we
And when I
canceled
came
the
back on
contract.
Monday,
We didn't have the
the
trucks.
trucks were available.
We can nitpick everything we do and not get nothing done, no?
That's right, we can try to do it legal if we know about it.
Yeah, we have to do, this is not.
Maybe you should brush up on.
The
everyone
problem
should
with
have
this is
classes
we're
here.
a government. We have got guidelines we have to follow. This is not a business where you can move and kind of jiggle stuff around. We're a government. We have to follow government policy. We have to.
It's gotta be
No
like.
choice.
Mr.
but you were
Barker,
happy with it.
you seem to think that this is the way this has always been done.
No, I'm not giving that
No.
impression. I'm only talking about this one circumstance
Why,
right
why do
now.
you think,
So
why do you
please
think
don't
we
put
took the
anything
time to
in.
explain it, even to you, to Albert, to the contractor, to Larry, so he could follow up, and we followed up again?
And that's just what I
Let's
did.
try to get this back together. Let's try to get this,
Exactly.
let's make it legal. What did we say? We might as well talk to the wall. Nobody cared, nobody listened.
We spent hours and hours and hours on this. I have, and I just,
It's a little
it's
discouraging.
not legal. You
When
can't
you tell me
it's
there's a
legal.
protocol to go by,
Shouldn't that be
but
something
nobody
the
else can follow.
superintendent should have known?
What's it dated?
Shouldn't our superintendent have known
October
this, with the
25th.
amount of years of working down here and working with
October
boards?
25th.
That this is a process you've got to go through?
That's the same day we could,
The board should
Isn't that
know
funny?
But
this.
the superintendent's been
Mine's
here for many,
dated
many
October
years and had to
25th.
do,
Right.
I'm sure that's not the first road they've had to do.
Those
You know,
laws
Can I
do
see that
change, and in
contract?
Bob's defense,
see mine?
the laws do change for
Mine's dated
certain
the same
days.
day as yours.
You wanna hand that over to
Anybody
him?
mind? She's talking about
As
unusual.
I said, you make it sound like this was the first time this happened. You make it
Oh,
sound like it was.
it is. This is a copy of what I have. So this isn't it. You paved the street on November 1st. This is a copy of what I have. This is not a new contract.
And what is it?
It's a copy of the contract that I canceled on October 25th.
Did anybody else have that besides you?
No,
Where
it
did
was
you get this
canceled.
from?
From Norm Baker.
He gave you
I
a
got it
copy
from
of the
Norbaker.
canceled one.
Yeah. This is not a new contract. And I mean,
Apparently there was a
you have to be an
contract in place,
attorney
I
to
didn't
figure
see
it out.
it either.
No, because it was canceled.
Yeah.
It's null and void. Doesn't go anywhere.
Uh-huh.
This is what I mean. We have guidelines as a government we must follow. And if you're not gonna follow the rules, then let's just close the village down. But this road was paved illegally. Everybody knows it was paved illegally. We didn't follow any of the guidelines. It doesn't fit any of the criteria. And myself personally, I would have rather seen Prospect that Mr. Webb and myself had already measured, because so much traffic was going up and down Prospect, that thing's in terrible shape. More people drive on Prospect than any other
Yeah.
street. That is a street you should have did. You should have did the bottom of Prospect like we proposed, but we were stopped. We were stopped.
Yeah, we can spend all night long talking about this.
Listen,
Thank you.
this is
And I
how
don't
you
think we're
solve
gonna get any
problems.
farther than we are now.
I think the
No,
public-
but
So I
next
think,
time it won't happen
I
that
think
way.
we need to move on.
I think
Since
the
we're not
government
gonna
is
pull a
good.
tarmac up, I think we need
This
to
is what
move
you
on.
call constructive
I think,
criticism.
I think we know where we are now.
I don't.
I think it's been iterated for 40 minutes.
Well, which is good.
So I think we know where we are, and I think next time when we come to do this, we'll be very cautious. And I think that should be the end result of this discussion. You know,
I think
As far as I'm
discussion is
concerned.
good.
I think it should be done.
We had
I
plenty
think
of
next
discussion. We had a lot of discussion
I
on
think
Walnut
next time when
Ridge.
it comes to a street paving, we know where we need to be. We know how it has to be done now. And I guess that's the guidelines that are gonna be followed. That's what we've been told, and if that's the case, I agree with it.
What are the
But what-
established guidelines, sir?
But what are we gonna end up gaining out of this? Nothing. I think we all know where we need to go.
I think what we
I
need to
think,
gain out
I
of this,
think trustee Barker is very upset with it, and I think trustee Poyer is very upset with it. I think
I'm not
they aired their views about it. Now that we know the views and we've been corrected, I think we know where we need to go next time it comes to pave a street. And I think that's the issue about the whole thing, and I agree with that. Now I think it's time to move on, because this mistake will not, or happen again.
I think this is a big mistake though, Mayor, and you've paved many streets, and why all of a sudden does this street get paved with no board approval?
Well, I
You've
think
paved
I
many
have to, you have your point of view, which I value your point of view. I'm not saying that. The money that was put down on that street is nothing. Oak Street, we did that and we put $47,300 in that. Mr. Barker was talking about Prospect. Well, we've done Prospect. And to do the bottom of it, we're gonna need about $30,000. If not more, because we're gonna have to dig, because there was a PERT study done on Prospect Street before these board members were even here. So we know a lot about Prospect Street. We know it started on one end, we paid a contractor to go up through and give us samples of soil all the way up through. And what we have tried to do is tried to pick the least expensive parts to do. The bottom of the hill is the most expensive part to do. Now, what would have happened with this money, $6,000 maybe? $6,000 might have did 15 feet of Prospect, which, you know, at the time wouldn't be a lot of anything. You would end up doing a little bit of Prospect and then shut it down, and then you'd have to do it. So what you're suggesting is that we do $7,000 or $8,000 worth of Prospect at the bottom of it. Why not wait till we get it all and do it all at one time?
My only suggestion is not to waste any of the taxpayers' money, even down to the dollar, okay? That, I
You
consider
have
that
a
a
concern,
waste.
and I'm glad that you voiced that concern.
But we're not saying.
Thank you.
Finish. But we're not
You know,
saying.
there are a lot of things that happen. You know, Mr. Barker was talking about Prospect. Well, I don't know if he has all of this stuff about Prospect. I think there's a lot more to it than just putting tarmac down on Prospect. At one section, we went down 3 foot, and we took all of the mat and the silt and all of this stuff out. Now, the bottom of Prospect is loaded with that. The drainage system at the bottom of Prospect where it meets Elm Street has to all be readdressed, because that holds all the water, that makes that ground very silky, so when it gets frost and it heaves, I mean, there's a lot of issues. I think not just saying to pave Prospect, there's a lot to getting ready to pave Prospect.
Is that the same
Ashline
proposal that was
Drive,
going on for the gully over here?
Ashline Drive was an issue which didn't need a lot of prep work. So now I know that it's paved
Albert,
illegally.
I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
But we have to come to the realization in today's world that, like the Pine Street Gully crossing, this went on for how many years? Because we suspected, we thought, we guessed, it's cured, it's done. Prospect, I'm not saying you're wrong, but we can sit here and pound that in the ground too, but until we actually do something, nothing will ever get done. Meanwhile, if we keep spending money without board approval, how does anybody know how much money we have left until they say, oh, we did something, gee, I'm sorry, I knew we had so much CHIPS money to be designated to do as much as we could with, and that's what provoked, and I'm sure you all remember, the first streets we did. Let's take every cent we can and apply it to asphalt only to cover as many roads as we can for the benefit of the taxpayers in this village. Then all the ones, it takes 1 week to make a decision to pave these other streets, and it's done. When it took 2 or 3 months, how long did it take?
Well, it took months. We had
Months.
to come up with all kinds of...
And then the
You
manpower.
actually bought the equipment to do it, and not one thank you from anybody on the board
And that's
for you
fine.
purchasing the equipment, having all your men out there
And now we're
working
standing
for
here,
free.
we're
No
stand-
thanks from the board.
And that's fine.
Well, I think that's no rerun, because we've heard that about 40 times. in the
Yeah.
last
And
year.
we still
They
haven't
were
got a
talking to
thanks,
the board.
Yeah,
No.
we still haven't got a thanks letter.
Well, I
That's
thank you, okay?
Well, thank you. Thank you for thanking.
First one.
It's not the point.
Besides myself.
It's not the point. The point is, we are not doing it legally. We know what the laws are. Nobody listens.
point is,
Nobody seems to care.
Cherry
Everybody does
Street,
what they want.
Cherry Street right away is 40 foot wide. We do 12, what we do on that 18 foot.
Makes no
I
difference,
know
Larry.
that, but when we had that extra tar, I wanted to go down and tar down by, where you pull into Kimpex, where that cement is, where we tarred already. But no, we went further up Cherry Street and went 10 foot wide.
Because their sod, the prep work wasn't ready or nothing else, and you had asphalt getting cold.
No,
I mean,
there was no solid prep work down there, it was around the DI.
That's a no point.
I know.
The point is, we're taking this CHIPS money, trying to dedicate it to every cent that we could. Everybody's concerned, we went months getting an approval to do that project up there, regardless of what got done. Then we make, within so many days after we found out we're illegal, geez, let's get some homework done, let's make sure we do this right. Less than 7 days, we've got asphalt down. Not even to what was spec'd. Who was in charge of that? Who said, make sure we've got 600 feet, like sure it's 2 inches thick, let's make sure it's 20 feet wide? Who did that? Anybody? You did? And do we have that?
You don't have 650 feet, I told you.
And do we have 20 feet wide?
Yes, you do.
Not on South.
No,
No.
didn't
Okay.
say so.
Well, you don't have 650 feet on Ashline Drive, I'll tell you that.
We have 532 and a half.
No, there isn't. That's what you documented on your CHIPS paper.
That's what we wielded.
532 and a half
I've
foot from
wheeled
the
it twice myself. You're quite a bit short.
Yeah.
I'd suggest that if you'd like tomorrow, I'll go over. and
Well, why don't we
measure
take the
This is
flashlight and go tonight?
This is the problem. Everybody's coming up
I
with
measured
it
mysterious
right
numbers.
there.
Everybody sits here
We'll be
believes
sitting
it.
I
It's
do
not
have to,
true.
I do
No,
have
you
to
can hold
believe
this
in
and
when
we
I,
can show you.
when I send people over, but I did send 2 separate people over,
Okay.
and they both came back with the same number.
And you got
We were 6
650
inches
feet.
No, it
difference.
said
I had
532 and a half feet.
How
That's
many
what
feet
I
did you
said.
get, Paul?
428.
So we're 100.
Where did you measure?
From the beginning of the tarmac to the end of the tarmac.
Where did you measure?
Ashline Drive only. 175 feet, 1 lane on South Street.
Center line. Center line is what you are supposed to measure. Center line distance.
Okay, that would make a difference of 100 and how many feet?
All I know is I'm just telling you
I
that's
did go down the
proper
center
way.
of the road, from beginning of tarmac to end. 428 feet.
Well, I'm not gonna.
I don't think we...
I went with Mr. Baker and the paper's right there, and I drew the drawing right out on the paper, the yellow paper that's right there. And he looked at it and he gave me them things, so that's the footage that I put down there, and I don't remember exactly what it is.
Is there anything that you can do to move this on? I don't even know now.
I mean, this is not a surprise.
we're
We knew this
into-
was coming,
How can you
right?
expect the
Is
taxpayers
everybody
to pay
aware
for
of
something
this?
that wasn't even wrote down? It's not even wrote down.
We don't even have a contract.
How can you do this?
You said that
It doesn't
1,000
make
times.
sense.
Why do you guys keep painting
Why
a
do you keep
picture
saying
for the
open?
community?
Why are we doing this?
Why do you keep painting a
We
picture?
said,
What did I
we're
just
not
say
gonna
earlier?
do it again.
What did I just say earlier? Because every time we say something, you look at us like we got 2 heads on our shoulders until we show you paper. I'm sick of this. We're a team
Okay,
here.
you showed us
We're a
paper.
team. And it's still,
We agreed to it. Now the issue should die. We
Okay.
agreed to it.
sweep it under the rug, let the
No,
taxpayers
we
pay for it,
didn't
keep
sweep
going.
it under the rug. I think your point was well made.
I think it benefited the
I
taxpayer.
think it's benefited all of us.
Sure.
But
We're
why do
educated.
you keep
Now we're
bringing
educated.
it up?
Why don't we just invite the taxpayers to the next board meeting and let them have their say? Do it that way.
Yeah.
Get a vote from the taxpayers.
I've
Makes no
asked
difference,
many a
Larry.
time
Makes
to
no
have
difference what the
taxpayers
taxpayers say. We have a law to go by. We're not going
That's
by that
right.
law.
But
Doesn't matter.
we have to listen to them though, because we're here for the good of them.
That's
Yeah.
right.
So
But
we
we
have
have
to
to go by
listen
the
to 'em.
law. The
Exactly.
law.
Exactly.
Taxpayers
We don't
come in
need
and
to paint
say, you know
pictures.
what? I want this board to go rob a bank. We know the law says you can't rob a bank. Are we gonna do it anyway?
We don't need to paint
We
pictures.
need to go by the law.
Propaganda.
No, we need to speak facts. Exactly what we're doing.
Exactly.
Propaganda?
Yeah.
What do you mean? Who's doing propaganda?
You can see it all the
Do you have
time.
any other
Where?
We did all kinds of paving, and Rainey donated his paver and his men. That was
Well,
brought
I
up
did put
10
in Robert's
times.
rules of orders.
But no one thanked
But I
the
think, you
town.
know, it comes
They
time that we
donated
need to
men.
put this to bed.
They never thanked the town. Why? What happened to the town? They
I don't-
donated 2 trucks.
Ask the mayor, I don't know.
Let's go into executive session if this is gonna be such a great big issue. You know, because I think we all know what we need to do and what we did wrong. Now, does that mean we're gonna be penalized for the rest of our life, or do we just say, we know what we need to do and let's move on and we'll do it correct from now on? I would like to say that probably there isn't a person in this room that hasn't made a mistake at one time or another. Does that mean that that person's gonna die with that mistake, or does he wanna pick up and move on to another issue? I think that's what we need to do. We need to move on to another issue. I think we've well heard the same conversation 10 times. I think we're well abreast of what has gone on, what has conspired. I think we need to move on.
It's a big issue. I've never been to a board meeting and it brought me here.
We just gotta change the status quo, that's all.
Status quo,
Yeah. Instead of,
status quo.
well, like, I mean, let's move on from this. I'm saying the priorities.
Right.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. I agree
And
with
make sure you got a contract. Make sure, just because he's paving down a road, you know, you can drive that
I think
paver anywhere.
We've all agreed to
Yeah,
that.
okay.
And I believe that this will not happen again. But, you know, I think we're all learning. We'll move on. This will not be an issue ever again. But, you know, I don't know what else to do.
Correction for you, Mr. Poyer, it's 328 feet. 328 feet, sorry. Now we can put it to bed.
So they owe money back to the village then, right?
Who does?
The contractors?
We've had enough discussion on this.
Well, wait a minute.
You're just throwing figures out and you're just agreeing with them. So, you know.
I'm not throwing, I've measured
Agreed.
it. Have you measured it?
I'm a
Why don't we
concerned
get the
taxpayer.
contractor in here that did the job?
I mean, I'm a concerned taxpayer.
Short recess.
There off the road is being handled. It's from Main Street, Moore Street, and there's quite a bit of water coming in. Now, you've got big culverts all going into an 18-inch culvert which runs across, down my mother's property. And it's not enough, that 18-inch culvert is not big enough to handle the water going through there. The road caved in across the street on Moore Street and had to be fixed a few years ago. The road caved in on the corner of my mother's property this year. And the way it was fixed is there was another 18-inch pipe attached to it going into a 3x3 area and expected to handle that load of water again, then we're just going to run into the same trouble. Is there something that we can do to correct this?
Knowing the situation, because I was there when the hole was found across right between Mrs. LaFountain's and whoever was living in the other property. I think we could take from the sidewalk and go across the road and put a different kind of system in. But I think from, I don't know what comes from that little ravine that comes off Main Street. There again, if anything needs to be done, that's private property. And we have an issue with private property.
See, that's not what the trouble is. You've got huge pipes bringing a lot of water, and it's expected to go into an 18-inch culvert when it's coming from a 3x3 pipe. Across the road where it was caved in about 3-4 years ago, and it was fixed, there was a drain put there. But the water's coming right out of the drain in the springtime. It's coming up over top and going down. There's not enough drainage. The 18-inch pipe on the opposite side of the road by my mother's property is just not big enough to handle a load from the 2 or 3 streets. You've got 2 streets that it's loading into an 18-inch pipe.
Chris, I think what the board was saying, when we go up to address that, where there's a possible leak in that area with your mom's front yard by the swimming pool, what we'll try to do is, I would imagine, while we're up there, we'll try to address all the drainage issues. If there is a leak first, we'll find out that, and then we can address all the drainage issues while we're right there on the project. Something happens where we have to dig that area up, it'd be the ample time to go ahead and take care of everything.
Okay,
You know,
I just
so I
wanted to
think
make sure the
that's
whole
what the
board
board
understood
intends
this,
on
because
doing.
this has been an existing problem for many years.
But there's not a 3-foot pipe going from Agnes LaFountain's towards the state DOT road. There's a small pipe that comes underneath her driveway.
And none of those pipes work, they're all plugged. It runs down the road.
We did clean
The
those up.
water runs down, I know what you're talking about, the water that comes down Moore Street. The water that comes down Moore Street goes across the road because all the property owners in there filled their ditches in.
Well, isn't
We
that
can dig
part
them
of the
out for 'em,
village
that's
to
not a
take
problem.
care and make sure that we have proper drainages off our road?
And we can
That
dig the
should
ditches
be
out,
done.
that's not a
The
problem.
ditches should be scraped and able to take the water.
If we scrape
so
the-
it's not wiping out my mother's
But
property.
if we scrape the side of the road up there, you're
No.
gonna have more water than what you got now. Because that lip on the
Something
side of
needs
the
to
road
be
is what's
done.
holding
You
the
see,
water,
something needs
running
to
it
be
down
done
to the
because
other way.
you're a village taxpayer paying taxes, and you know, you expect that if you pay your taxes, work that needs to be done by your house should be done. And if she doesn't pay her taxes, you take her house away. And you're taking it away now by not fixing the drainage.
I'm sorry.
You know, I hope you understand that. I don't know how any simpler to state that.
Chris, excuse me a second. I hear what you're saying. I haven't been out there, but I guess Trustee Barker has. And I believe, speaking to the board as well as Mayor and Trustee Connors and Trustee Garrett, when we do that water analysis to see if we can confirm that there's no water eroding from a broken pipe, I think we're all in agreement, we will do something up there
For drainage issues.
for drainage issues, whether it's, if it's not a broken pipe, we'll get some culverts working and so on, and
To
determine
keep that water away.
what we
Yeah.
can possibly do. Whether people are throwing brush in the ditch or not, we'll clean the ditch, we'll make sure water's flowing from point A to point B.
To try and keep it off the property.
And-
See,
and-
we're having others, there's a couple of issues there, we're gonna check on one, then we're gonna go to the other one.
And I'd appreciate your input back to the board, as this evolves into evolution here, feed us. You're there, you live there, let us know, did it back up, did it run over the road?
Okay, well, my
I am
main
all
point
ears.
is the ground's gonna be frozen soon. You know, it's
It's gonna be
something
tough
that
to make
can't be delayed
corrections.
because we're gonna run right back into spring again. And this is the problem with just the drainage. You're back to spring again, and I mean, you're gonna have a major problem.
Is this something you think, as far as the ditching or finding these culverts, can be addressed here within a timely manner?
We can,
Even if we don't have
we can
the
give it a shot.
Well, we
sediments?
see and we got our sewer jet back, we'll fill it up with water, and we'll go through that DI and go down through, then go to that pipe, and it'll come out down the other end.
I mean,
In 1995, 96, someplace in there, we went down and cleaned all those culverts out. We had them all functioning as best we could. Problem there is that the culverts are deeper than people really want to have a slot or a ditch in there, beside their house.
Right.
There are no drop inlets. So all you can do is let the water reach one point to build up, and, you know, we tried to run it away as
But-
best we could.
I guess,
It's
is this
still
something
like
that we can do, is clean those ditches, find our culvert inlets and outlets? and
Oh, we can
determine-
find the culverts in
But,
outlets. So
but
we
no
can
matter
clean it.
how you look at it, you can clean the ditches if you want, with the road all tips towards his mother's house. So all the water from, say Mrs. Patre's up there, all that water from that side comes from that side and goes right down into the front of his mother's.
It rides the road?
Because she's dropped down,
Way the
and
road's
if we take that lip off the front of that road in front of her house, all that water's going in her front of her house.
Well, those homeowners let you clean the ditches.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But we'll
We've
get
done
up,
it before,
Chris, we'll
but
get up there
they
and we'll
keep filling
address
it in
it.
again, or it
Let's
gets
just,
filled in.
once we get up there and get going, we'll try to address this as quick as we can. I mean, we know it's a problem, it's been
Probably,
going on for
probably
years,
need to
so-
put a ditch by that pole
We'll
down
do
through
it.
the front of his mother, so the water
We'll do
goes
it.
straight down off the road.
I assure you.
I just
I
wanted to
did
make
ask
sure the board,
Mr.
in case
Kennedy to
everybody on the
write
board
some
knows
kind of a
what's
letter to this board to tell them what his concerns were.
Yeah,
And I also asked him, I said, if you had a problem writing it, I would write it for him.
yeah. Well, he's talked,
But he
so
didn't-
far, he's talked to the superintendent, the mayor, myself, trustee Poyer.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think
I
he's
think
talked
we're
to
all,
enough
we're all on,
people.
we're all
Well,
on
now he
board.
has, and
Yeah,
he's
we're all
come
on
in here,
board.
but I
We
mean,
know
the
that.
issue is an issue, and
Yeah,
it wasn't that he was being ignored.
yeah.
But don't you have priorities to write down and maybe bring up to the board that I brought it to your attention?
It's right here.
But how about the years and years before? Has it never been brought to the
We did,
attention?
we did bring it, we did repair it at one
I mean,
point.
there was many, many
Like I said,
complaints, and then you come over and there's no
94,
problem.
95, someplace in there.
And there's still no problem, right?
If it's any constant solution, we
I
are aware of
understand. I
it,
just wanted to get my point across.
and I thank you. We will address this.
Thank you, Chris, we will address it. That's, you heard the whole board. Would there be anybody else at this time that would like to address the board? Okay, we'll move on to our general session. Report of the mayor. We have an election notice, bringing up the election notice this year. Whereas the next village election for the offices of the Village of Champlain, New York, will be held on March 15, 2005. Whereas the Board of Trustees of said village must designate by resolution and publish offices which are to be filled at such election and terms thereof, then to be here, therefore, resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Village of Champlain has determined the following offices to be filled and to be voted thereunto upon with the terms of such officers respectfully noted as followed. Trustee, a 2-year term. Trustee, a 2-year term. Mayor, a term of 2 years. Be it hereby resolved that is required by section 15-104-3A of the village election law, notice of the village election to be given at least 4 months prior to said election date, and that the office be voted upon at said election be herewise included in said notice. So what I would like to do is have a motion and a motion to put this in the minutes and to publish this in our legal papers.
Second.
Motion by, first by trustee Connor, second by trustee Porter. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you. We had a meeting on November 9th at the CDC with Greg Fleming of the Fleming Group and Mark Berry on the proposed development in the village of the Champlain. Questions were asked by the town and by the village and concerns. I think it went well. We are looking at probably having some new homes in the village up on Horizon Heights, probably in the spring of 2005. Believe the infrastructure is being worked on right now. I know they've got one contractor over there making a road in, partial road. The development, if it goes through the way the developer would like it to happen, we are going to have some very nice homes in this community. All the board was there. Mr. Sullivan was there. Mrs. Dawson was there, excluding trustee Connor for work relations. I think there was a lot of good things that are going to come out of this, and this again is a good thing in our small community. This will benefit the village of Champlain. It will also benefit the town of Champlain, and it will also benefit our school district. Because what happens is, I believe if everybody knows that if you get a higher tax base in the community will generate more revenue. So, being as the village of Champlain is in the town of Champlain, as is the village of Rouse's Point, the town will benefit by it, the village will benefit, and the schools. During that meeting, I had a talk. Mr. Mark Berry called me to the side because he was kind of concerned with our small village, that with all of the things that are going on, even with the port of entry being outside in the town, a lot of development going on. I think with guidance from the board, as well as our superintendent now, and the new superintendent to be, whoever it may be, we have a lot of good things going. His main concern was, why were we not a member of the North Country Chamber of Commerce? Because the North Country Chamber of Commerce, from what I gathered, does a lot for different communities, if it's asked. I think it's just another thing that helps the municipalities when they do this. So he asked me, apparently I checked with Mrs. Dawson, years before, and I don't know how it did not get done, but am I true to say that we were a member of the Chamber of Commerce?
We weren't active for a lot of years, and I don't think they were sending out the notices and
Right.
it's kind of dropped.
So he talked to me at length on this, and I think what I'm doing is I'm asking the board, apparently, the dues on this are $167 for the Village of Champlain to be a member of the Plattsburgh North Country Chamber of Commerce.
Is that annual?
Annually. And like I say, with all of the things that are going on, a lot of municipalities do belong, and I was wondering if the board would entertain the motion for us to pay our dues and be a member of the Plattsburgh North Country Chamber of Commerce.
Well, what exactly would that benefit us as a village office?
Well, I think what happens is they have,
What are they doing now? Are they active in what?
they're active in the whole community as a whole.
They do some of these safety meetings as well. Gives you a reduced cost to go to those.
They're back being active to that? Mrs. Dawson was saying earlier how they weren't active for a while. Right.
Right.
Are they back active? Do we know this?
Right.
Weren't they at one time, there were two separate
Yes.
Yeah.
boards? There was the North Country, and then there was the Plattsburgh Chamber of Commerce.
Right.
But I think
And I
that-
think at one time that we were a member of the North Country Chamber of Commerce,
Yes.
and it kind of disbanded, wasn't active, it never got renewed.
But I think now, in light of it all being in one, I think there's a lot of things that would, that we may be able to
Do you know
benefit out
what
of it.
the year membership period is, from what to what?
It's January 1st.
Is it January 1st?
Yeah. And we don't have this in our budget again, so, it'd be something that we would have to put into the budget if it's something that we want to carry through.
We do have money in association fees, I believe, in the budget, not necessarily earmarked for this particular one, but I believe we do have some funds.
Is this something that's gonna benefit us as?
I think it
as
will
workers?
benefit
Yeah, you
the
get discounts
municipality.
at area
So,
businesses and.
what is it, $13 a month? That's what it comes up to?
Yeah, I think it would benefit just,
Can I make the motion that I'll pay the $13 a month?
I think,
I'll donate $15 a month so we can have that, and then you can approve it the following year.
I think,
Don't worry about it.
no, I think we should, I think as the thing of it is, I think we need to give it a try and see what there is in there for us, because he seemed to be quite concerned, and like I said, it has changed over the years.
Put that in the minutes that if you can't get it, I will donate $15 a month for the first year, so we have it, it'll benefit me.
I don't think we're that.
I don't think we're that far
If
off.
it's not in the minutes, it'll at least be on the tape.
That's right. And make sure you say it what it's for.
Well, would anybody like to entertain this
Excuse me, Janice?
issue?
We have municipal association dues, but that was budgeted for the NICOM. We have money for conferences, which is not really the same issue of $250. And we have our contingency account, which has $1,000 in it that can be used for anything throughout the year.
I'll make a motion that we join the North Country Plattsburgh Chamber of Commerce for $167 a year and
Right.
take it out of our contingency.
Starting
Beginning January
January
1st,
1st,
2005. Second.
Can I add to your motion, Chuck, that we'll take the money from A 1990.4 and put it into A 1920.4? The exact amount.
Sounds good. Benefit everybody.
I think I inquired about that a few years ago, when we were looking at insurance.
Don't you get a book too? You get a book with a discount book?
Right.
Just get a discount book.
Right.
so
I think there's a lot of
It's
things that are
it's
coming.
a piece of paper
Yeah.
that says
Yeah.
Chamber of Commerce member.
So the motion to do this was by trustee Connor. Second was Amy, Mrs. Garrett. Do we want to do a roll call vote?
if you wish.
Okay, all in favor of our dues for the North Country Chamber of Commerce? Trustee Barker?
Yes, yes. I agree.
Trustee Connor?
Yes.
Yes.
Trustee,
Yes.
Trustee Bird, yeah, and the miracle chest. Thank you very much, and it's just, I think we'll find that this will benefit us down the road.
Does this also put us in with the Plattsburgh Chamber of Commerce?
It's all one.
Are you
It's all one.
sure?
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's combined now.
right,
Okay,
it's all
It
one.
is combined now?
Right,
Okay,
it's all
so
one.
It wasn't a couple years ago. Okay.
Right.
That's the problem, because
Right.
they combined.
Okay,
Okay, and
beautiful.
there's just a couple more issues. Before us, we have 2 requisitions. Replacement of water fittings for stock sheet attachments, quotes.
Yeah, there was no quote attached. For replacement of water fittings?
Right.
Yeah, I guess this is for an account that there's no money budgeted for.
Yeah, and we've taken money out of that account a couple of times. What we need to do is transfer some money into that account from another account.
Now,
Or from a fund balance, an established account.
is there a reason why we're taking out of this account as compared to another account that has funds in it for
It's the-
equipment or materials?
It's the number that was designated by the superintendent.
Which one's that?
Water fittings?
For some reason, there was no money put in that account when we did the budget.
Right, and the reason why,
No, it's been through prior, we've taken money out of prior to.
yeah,
Does somebody have the attached quote? It says see
She
attached
does.
quote. What's the definition or
What is it for?
what is it for?
it went with these, okay?
Well, we didn't, all we got was the.
I'm sorry.
It says
They
see attached quote.
were 2 quotes. And I,
Okay, I have the quotes here from
Is this the
Oh,
other
there they
one?
are.
Orlando
Is this the other
Brothers
one?
Incorporated, which was $968. And we have one here from Ferguson's Water Works, Troy Avenue, Colchester, Vermont, for $782.88.
Bob, what is this for?
they're to put it back in some fittings that were used.
Compression fittings, T's, corporations that we have 1 or 2 left of.
So
We get
it's
a-
just to hold stock?
It's an inventory.
Yeah.
It's an inventory of
We
stock.
try to keep 3
There
or
are
4 on it.
repair clamps in there.
If
I
you have to
believe
do,
you
if
all
you have to
sent
do
those
Repair clamp?
Yeah.
For what?
4
water,
4-inch water?
a 4-inch. Yes, we have a 4-inch water, we have 2 4-inch water lines. One
A
4-inch,
repair clamp for a 4-inch water line?
yep.
We also use them on doing,
4-inch?
we also use them on the,
A saddle?
the
A repair clamp, 4-inch?
full circle repair clamp. It's a stainless steel band.
Where was
Has a bolt. I don't know, I was just told
Sewer,
about this.
Where?
Robert's
What,
house.
quite
Look for
often
it.
we
What
use
are-
them
what are
on
you
AC
talking about?
pipes.
Nobody seems to know.
What are you talking about? The clamp that I let them have?
Yes.
It was 11 by 15 stainless steel
Oh, it
band
was 11.
for,
I'm sorry.
for Robert's sewer repair up on Main
It's
Street.
a saddle.
No, it's
No.
a stainless steel band we had.
Here's the list of stuff. That's the list of stuff that apparently you went out to bids on.
Chad came and got it.
And that was the low bid. It tells you what it is.
That's the one that,
He has,
That was for Buster Roberts' house on Main Street.
that's the one where we found his sewer line just stuffed into the side of the main.
mhm,
That's the one. Yeah.
I guess. I wasn't here, so I don't know.
Does the village not provide a saddle for the sewer?
Oh, we could've gave him a saddle.
Or a clamp, or
In
whatever the
fact-
deal is?
In fact, he did have a saddle, but you had to move the pipe beside it because it was a T, it was broken off. That's what
A
Chad
T on the
told me.
main?
Yeah, so he put a piece of, the T, the old AC main lines are 8 and they have a 4-inch reducer on them. And that was broken off there, so he moved it over and he put a sleeve on that, a stainless
You
steel
put a new
sleeve.
saddle and sleeve the old main?
Yes,
Because the existing line that was tapped in there is hooked to a T, don't you think?
well, they're all hooked to T's. They're hooked to T's or Y's and the piece was broke,
Oh.
where his hooked to the main.
Where his hooked to
See,
the
the
main,
village
that
used to
was
go in
broken.
and fix that years ago, but they changed that. Now it's the homeowner's responsibility to the main to dig it up and fix it, put it back in the same manner it was to start with.
Right. But it was broke.
Apparently, I don't know, I wasn't up there.
Right.
I know nothing wrong with asbestos.
Well, we need to know what our policy here is. How does anybody really know?
It's in the law book,
It is, and what does it say? in
very
the law
well
book?
spelled out.
And what does it say? Well, I better check it.
You
because
are,
your
well, you
information
won't
is a
believe
little
me if
gray
I
right
tell
now.
you.
No, and that's a fact. I'm not saying to be
I just
smart,
told
but
you
from
what
as
it was
evolution
before,
comes
and they
forward,
changed that.
we can't really go by what people say. We need to check.
It's in the
but
law book,
that's
and
okay.
it says that you are responsible from your house to the main.
Okay. And there was a connection from his house to the main.
I
Apparently.
was not here.
I
so
didn't
don't
see
know
it,
what
Chad
he's
just came, got the
discussing.
sleeve and got the fittings, Joe was here at the time.
Apparently there was a connection from there to the main, obviously,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
I'm sure it didn't just go into the ground. And that's where the break was, and it was repaired.
Yeah.
So the homeowner is responsible for the break in the main. Is this what it
No,
says in the law book?
his connection, his 4-inch connection to the main was broke.
We ran a whole new line from his house out to the
Yeah.
main.
Well,
Whatever's
Chad-
going on at the main, I know we put a new saddle. For
Yeah.
whatever reason, something broke.
Opposite where the break was, opposite where the nipple was,
Okay.
broken out. And that's all I know.
That was handled by Rennie's repair evidently, and I have no first-hand knowledge, so I can't.
So
I
you're
can't
telling me I
tell
owe you
But
one,
this
you got
is-
no first-hand
Well, this is what
knowledge.
I've been told that you owe.
Where's
us.
my bill? You're
Well,
telling me
I
something,
don't-
Bob, and now you're telling me you don't know. Well, do you know or don't you know?
Well,
That
listen,
you owe
listen,
this.
it should
And that's where I'm going.
wrote down, because I come in and told Joe, and Joe's gone outside now, you can wait till he comes in. I told him, instead of taking and replacing a 13 by 15, they get an 8 by 12. It was a little cheaper, but we used more of them than the 13 by 15. That's what I told him. That's what I told Chad when he come got it. Said just replace it with an 8 by 12, because we can use it on a water main.
Okay, so the Buster Roberts responsible for a patch or coupling or something because his line connects to that line.
It was
You-
broken off to the T.
The village is not responsible
did
for
not-
breaking their line.
You did not involve the village, or your company did not involve the village in the project, evidently.
No,
I don't
no.
know this
Well,
firsthand.
why are you saying if you don't know? Because right off, you said that we owe you a coupling.
I'm
Well, then if we owe you a coupling, the village is involved because apparently somebody from my company came here and asked for it.
I just
Correct.
told
So
you.
let's not reverse our words.
Chad came in and talked to Joe, and I went out and got it and gave it to Chad.
Right. Broken main.
and I always-
Something wrong
I
with the
always
main,
give
we
him
need
the
to put a
saddle.
new saddle.
The T was broke on the coupling there, where he hooked into it. I know that you had that asbestos pipe all over the ground up there, I didn't go next to it, so.
Right.
I just went by what Chad told me, and I give it to him, and I told Joe, and he said, I'll have to give him a bill for it, and I said, well, if you do it 8 by 12, so, because that's more common, we can probably use it.
Okay.
And that was the end of it.
I never got a bill.
Well,
Because if I got a bill,
Well,
it's
that
not my
was-
bill, technically it goes to the homeowner.
that's what,
So
you
if I'm
should've-
not ever billed,
you
how
should
can
have
I
said
know
it.
the homeowner?
I told Joe 2-3 times, but
We're talking about a village main here, so I don't know, even though I'm a trustee, here we go again with these laws.
Yes.
Unless I sit down and become a Philadelphia lawyer, read every law, I can't base it off what you said, or you said. I can't. Because what we're finding out from fact is that everybody has their own interpretation.
Well,
And-
I would assume then, from henceforth and hereafter, no contractors will come and get any parts, and we won't have to be concerned with it.
Great.
There.
So when you need water pipe, and I don't know as though I ever got the 3/4 inch pipe back that the village borrowed from me.
Copper, I brought it, didn't I?
Did you?
Yeah, I brought it. I
Okay.
gave it to you.
Yeah, okay, it was returned. 'Cause I know there was 2-3 months involved, whatever, and that's fine.
It's simple.
So it works both ways then.
It generally does, but I mean, if I'm going to be belittled in front of a board.
I'm asking you a
Listen
simple
to
question,
me.
Bob, I'm not
Listen
belittling you.
to me.
Go ahead.
If you're going to belittle me in front of the
No, I'm
board
not.
and in front of the television camera, this is the way it should be done. It should not be,
I'm not
you
belittling
should
you.
not,
You made a statement that I owed you something, now you sit there and say you don't know anything about it, you weren't here.
I only know that it was explained to me, you owed us this fee.
Okay, you started the first statement by, I owe you something. Well, what do I owe you? I'm
This is one of
rebuttaling.
those
I'm
things.
rebuttaling, so who started the whatever
We
you wanna
should
call
really
it?
do this
It doesn't
off
matter.
camera.
Yeah,
We
it's
should really do
ridiculous.
I'm getting a little irritated.
privately.
Well, I don't blame you, because you shouldn't start something if you don't have the facts. You started it.
how
I
long,
didn't start
how
this.
long ago was this dug up?
Had
A
to be during
long
the
time
summer.
ago, in
Had
the
to be in
middle
the
of the summer.
spring, because there was a lot of water there.
That's right, there
lot of
was,
water.
there was.
Yep.
And I asked the ex-superintendent 2 or 3 times, I said, make sure you get that, but get it 8, so if we have a water main break, we can use it, and that was the end of it.
Yep. And now it's just getting replaced. Is that
Yes, that's it,
what's in
yeah.
there?
Yeah.
So our,
So if you want to buy 11 by 15, it's just more money, but I mean, 8 by 12 would be sufficient. It makes no difference. But we have-
My question, first of all, is it village property? Is the village responsible or am I responsible?
Well-
That's what we need to know.
Okay.
If nobody knew at the time and nobody still really knows, then we need to do some research.
If
Simple.
it's a new service, we do it. But if it's something that's already there, it's the homeowner's responsibility to the main.
No, he is correct, though, if it's the T itself, it would be us.
Well, I know, Derek, you must have been there. So,
What was it? Was it
Let's
the
have
T
it.
or was it the pipe?
The patch that we put on was the main.
It
It
was
was-
the
it
main
was
itself.
on the
Chad
main.
told me it was the T that was on the main.
Me and Chad were the ones standing in the
Okay, but
water.
I'm just telling you what he told me.
Well, why was it broke? How was it broke? What caused it?
I have no
If it
idea.
was the main, then it would
Pretty
probably,
good
Was
when
there
they
a-
were backed up, everybody else would have been backed up there.
It wasn't blocked.
It wasn't
He was
blocked.
blocked. His ladder was blocked. That's why they're putting a new one in.
He had some Orangeburg up there, didn't he?
Yeah, all Orangeburg.
He had some AC pipe too, because I saw it
Yeah,
on the
yeah,
ground.
yeah.
The big stainless fitting that Chad came up to got, me and Chad put that on the main.
Shouldn't your employees tell you what they come and get though?
It's a village main. Why would they? My help are responsible. They don't report to me on everything. They have certain responsibilities. They do it.
Was there
They just
agreement?
do it.
Was there agreement when he come and got it that they were gonna replace it, or was it just?
I didn't come and get it.
If-
I helped install it.
Well, you'll have to look back. If there was a UFPO on it, we would've went up to it anyways.
There wasn't no UFPO. I don't believe on that.
Well, you
Or
have
was
to do
there?
a UFPO to dig.
It was marked.
No, there,
I think it
Did
was
you do a
marked.
UFPO on it though?
I believe so.
Yes, I believe I remember going up there
Well,
with
I-
you,
marking it.
doing some marking up there.
Well, anyways, it's just the band, but.
That's just one of the replacements, and that's the reason why we need them.
And that's fine. That's great. So does your accusation still stand? I owe you one. I haven't replaced yet, or do I? owe
I
you
still
one?
believe you owe me one, but I don't know that. It's not me.
But you just said if it's on the main, whatever. Now we're discussing if it's on the main. Now we said it was on the main. Now we still don't know.
Well, let's discuss this later, it's not
Now,
important
where are
to
you
discuss
pulling
it
the
in this
money
meeting.
from to pay for these pipings?
yeah.
Where are we pulling and going to?
We can take it from the fund balance, we can transfer it to this account.
This-
Or we can take it from another account, but we really don't know where we might want to do that, so we should take it from the fund balance.
Because I'm saying this is just to replenish our stock in the back in case we need some stuff, isn't it?
Yep.
That's what it looks like to me.
Yep.
an
For winter
itemized-
months.
That's what it is.
I mean, there should be something, we should have something in our budget to replenish our fittings. I mean, we should have some account.
We should have some money. We charge for water. It's
That
on the
was the
water
account,
account.
that we always had an account, we had a sub-account that allowed for that,
But there was no money put in that account this
and I
year.
have no knowledge of it.
How long does it take to get these if we have a situation? Are we totally out?
Well,
Do we
if
have
it's,
to have this
if we
right now?
have one and you gotta, say for some reason we're digging the sewer and we hook a water line and we bust it, you have to have two to hook it back up, unless you want to dig all the way to the house.
Okay, we have nothing left in stock.
We have a couple, or one of them things. We try to keep 3, 4 on at a time, because if you got one repair, you're gonna use 2 compressions.
Okay.
And if you only have one doesn't do it.
How many are we getting for the 782? Do you know?
It's the bands which cost money. I don't know how many bands are on there.
How many
Let me have
fittings?
that, Albert, I'll copy the whole thing for him, and then we can.
Yeah, that way everybody could have a copy.
I'm just
so
curious,
they-
how many are we getting? Are we getting 20? Are we getting 30?
No.
Are we getting 5?
These aren't cheap,
No.
I'm sure
Well,
they're.
they're stainless
They're
steel,
over,
they've got to
no,
be.
they're over a C-note apiece. There's
Oh, yeah.
also a 60-foot length of, or coil of 3/4 inch copper, and a 100-foot length of
Yeah.
half-inch K-pop, amongst several other fittings.
On the other requisition, we have stainless steel clamps, the Aeromed sludge,
Explain, please.
dewatering system plus postage. Now, I see, was that 72 each? So what are we getting per units? How many? 4?
Four.
4? 4? And the rest of it is postage. And I see we have an account on here balanced at 4,000, account balance 3,400. So that's not a problem. So as you can see, it looks like we got quantity of 3, 6, 10, 14, 114, 14 and 160 feet, 3/4 inch and 1 inch. That's your most expensive. So apparently,
3/4 coming 50-foot or 60-foot coils?
6.
Ferguson, he figured it at 100-foot.
so I figure if we need this material to run the village,
Is it backwards?
I got two small pieces
Put
back there, probably
quantity
got a total
100
of 30
feet, but
foot
if it's
pieces
60-foot coils, it'll be a coil.
copper.
You know,
And if we have
so
to
you should
dig
get
it from the service line,
No, it should be 60. They come in 60-foot
Well,
coils,
sir,
only one.
something
we
you
don't
gotta
have-
have.
we
One
need-
coil,
we need
1
some
inch, 60
piping
feet,
together.
3/4. You must be
Okay.
going 2 coils?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Or you got a
Quarter
well, I
comes
think
with
we
100
can move
foot.
it out of,
You got one
I
100
think
foot
we can
coil.
move it out of
the inch,
general
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm trying to go out of memory here.
Yeah.
Water fund balance.
we can take it out of the water fund balance.
And what we would need to, we really should do is cover the whole account. That if you see that account overdrawn by $1,400 if you had done everything.
1,400 plus the 7,
Plus, we have, $650 on our abstract tonight, so it would be about, we'll say $2,700.
$2,700 to
Cover that
come,
account.
In the hole.
to come out of the water fund balance.
It's 250 in the abstract tonight.
Can I ask a question?
1,400?
Yes.
Hey,
Go ahead.
if these clamps or fittings that we use them for sewer,
Three numbers.
or we use them for water?
800,
We use them for both.
and,
It depends.
I'm just wondering budget-wise, that's all.
Okay, for budget, that actually, well, it should go back to, well, it was a water fitting used in the
I know I
sewer.
should have said it.
It's a water fitting used in the sewer application, but it was taken out of a water project.
Just to be reflected in the right place in the
Right.
budget.
Right.
and a lot of times, like the clamp that Randy got, that's an odd size clamp, and you wouldn't use it unless you use it on the AC line that goes up the railroad track. So we have a few of them odd ones hanging around. We used one over here when we found that break over here in Pine Street Gully. We used a stainless steel band.
It's something that you gotta have.
Well, they hold the line much more rigid than any other type of fitting that you
Oh, on
can
a
use.
sewer line.
Yeah.
Using a water clamp on a sewer line is right, because if you
But
don't
it's-
take the time to backfill properly, whatever, a rubber fern coat won't hold.
Fernco is not really intended to use the way they use.
Right, do you have the accounts, Janice, where we're gonna transfer funding to? Okay, I'll make a motion that we approve the requisition for $782.88 for replacement of water fittings to restock our inventory, taking it from,
F909 fund balance and sending it to F243. Can we do it in an amount to cover the account? To cover
Yes.
the,
Two together.
Right. Put them together. She said she needs around 2,700 to get rid of this account minus, which it would have to be done sooner or later anyways.
on the report, it's 1408,
89.
yes.
Yep.
And then we had
Put it
the
right where I want it.
tonight, or thereabouts.
yeah.
7288, 295.15.
And then he has 250, you said beside.
Okay, yeah, that's not,
I second that.
2,500.
Okay. Motion made by trustee Connor, seconded by trustee Poirier on requisition for replacement of water fittings to transfer 2,700 to make this account viable. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We have one more for Aeromed stainless steel clamps. Apparently there must be 4. We have a balance and account number, and we have a balance of $4,400 in the account, and we're looking to spend $295.15.
Didn't we just put those together?
no,
No,
that's-
that was something else.
No, that was different.
Different piece of equipment.
So moved.
So move.
Second.
Are we taking the
Motion made by the first
the bands we
trustee
use
Connor,
for the sewer, are
seconded
you
by
taking that out
trustee
of the sewer
Poirier.
account or water
All in
account?
favor
That's what Chuck.
on the
That's it.
$295.15?
Albert?
Aye.
See, we use them stainless steel bands on the sewer, shouldn't that be taken out of the sewer
It needs
account?
to be noted at the time. I think at the time of purchase, we're purchasing as a water clamp.
Yeah,
If we do use
So
it
if
on a
we-
sewer line, we need to note it.
so why don't we
at the
do
time
that
we're
right now and note that, so we can
Normally would be.
do that while we're doing it, because you have to order more to replace them.
Right.
And at this time, well, I've only got one more issue. At this time, I would like to appoint Robert Sullivan as our temporary superintendent. And take a vote to hire Bob as our temporary superintendent as of October 25th, 2004.
You want discussion on that? There's a legal issue again, just so you
Okay.
know, before we get too far involved.
Okay.
It's something we might want to do.
Do you want to do this in executive session?
I
Or-
talked to NICOM on this issue. And the mayor can do the appointment, it should be brought to the board and ratified by the board. That's what I was
Well,
told.
That's fine, I'm a trustee and I stated I have you're the clerk, okay. Does that mean you should move forward with it?
I'm saying.
I'm saying there's a legal issue that we need to discuss before you move forward with it, to protect and to preserve and to work together, like we did once before.
I still have some concerns about what we've already done as far as a legal issue.
Well,
on-
you gotta go executive session.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying,
Let's
maybe we
move
should
on.
discuss this
All
in
right,
executive
this is
session.
all I'm
You can
saying,
hold off.
before we go too far.
So when we come back out of executive session, we'll make a motion to do that, provided
That's
we
why,
can.
just to make sure everybody's on the same page.
Okay. Okay, that's it for myself. Report of trustees, trustee Connor.
Okay, the only thing I have right now, and I know there's gonna be a lot of other things later, is everybody's been copied with a request for insurance proposal. Okay, this went out to, I believe, 8 or 9 different insurance companies. It was published in a newspaper in case there was some other insurance companies that didn't get the information, certainly could have put in quotes. The date of November 26th is the date that everything has to be back to us, and we will meet probably our December meeting to vote on who we're going to proceed with on our for insurance for 2005.
Have we received any quotes back at this point?
Not yet. We will. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
they have, you know, a lot of these places don't, I mean, they have certain things they have to check out. I mean, it takes time,
I
and,
read through that, it's quite involved, so
yeah.
it's not something they're just gonna make a decision on.
Uh, so, they're gonna take as much time as they can get, because they wanna make sure that they have the best price to quote. So, this is very time consuming. I thank Janice and Donna for helping me along with this, as far as getting this prepared. Hopefully it'll come out for better.
Good.
No guarantees.
All we can do is try.
It's okay. So that's all I have for now.
Thank you, trustee Connor. Trustee Barker.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I've got a couple things for executive session. There are going to be legal issues that I'd like to discuss, also a personnel issue. I don't really have too much that I want to share with us tonight. Last month I asked for the research on the Time Warner cable contract to see if we could get that. According to our contract, it was supposed to be provided to us free. I see you got a quote on that. Did you happen to mention to them that we have a contract with them, and were they aware of the contract that we have with them?
I mentioned it, the person that I talked to wasn't very helpful at all as far as that went. As far as I know, it was just for the, what is it, Bob? That's it, I forgot the word.
The alarm system.
Alarm system.
It's the
That
only
came
thing
as
that
part of, yeah, they also gave the village the television and the tape recorders to use, so you could copy your meetings.
Does it state in our contract that we can
I
get?
can't tell you what it states in the contract, I can only tell you what they said.
Yeah.
And we tried to get a second copy of VCR, and they said, you've got what we
The first one, that's it.
That was it.
Can we just go ahead and review that? I don't have the contract with me. I believe I read in there they would provide us with internet service here. So if we could just
Well,
read in the contract.
The only thing is that all the computers would have to be switched over to, Time Warner.
No, switch off Time Warner. We're going with, or
Prime
Right
Lab,
now-
Prime Lab
right
right
now
now.
we're
yeah,
Prime
Prime
Link.
Link, rather,
Right.
yeah.
So, that would mean, getting someone in to install it, they do not do that. And it's,
So it's not feasible then? You don't
well,
think
it's
feasible,
possible,
it
but
just,
I can't see them doing it for nothing,
Right.
so.
I know, it does state in there, any of our locations, as far as internet service.
Right.
Whether it's high speed or not.
The whole thing was, I see we pay $25 a month for Prime. If we could get it for free, it's in our contract. I'm just saying, hey, let's get it for free if we can.
Right.
But it doesn't seem
You
feasible.
can't just do that and keep,
Right.
the
Right.
computer on DSL, you
Right.
have to change the whole thing.
Okay. The other thing I'd like to bring up this month, last month we talked about our insurance policy. Maybe Chuck, you weren't here, maybe you could help a little bit with us. We do have a policy, I don't know, maybe Trustee Boyer can help us with this. We do have a fleet policy for our insurance, but a fleet policy, the way as I explained to, through Lattimore's, is that they'll cover whether we have a backhoe, a dump truck, a wood chipper, a paver, a roller. That's what our fleet policy says. Each individual vehicle, each individual piece of equipment has its own separate policy. Okay, we don't just pay one price for a fleet, of $5,000 a year. Every single vehicle has its own individual policy. So,
It's documented.
pardon me?
It's documented.
Yeah, well, I was just trying to clarify from last month. Last month we were told that.
Well, I think the board was under the understanding. and
No,
it
we
was-
paid one price.
We paid one price for one vehicle up to 5 or up to 10, nobody was really sure, and the price wouldn't change if we added or subtracted. And
I was
fact,
under the same assumption.
Yeah, it's
and
not.
so are we, but fact to be known, it is not true. So if we were to leave, like say the old ambulance on and add another vehicle, it would change. And then as we took one off, it would drop.
Based on the value of what that is also.
Exactly. Yes, that's true.
What we were talking about, I think, was like the police vehicle was on the policy for 5 years. We were wondering, did it cost us anything?
That had been taken off. I'm sure we took that off.
Well, that was
Well, it
taken
was
off.
just taken off to January 1st of this year.
No,
That was taken off a
That was
long
taken
time
off
ago.
before
Well, I
that.
think we just last month, we had paperwork on
Wow.
it that the,
Evidently, it was, I know it was, because we haven't had a police department.
no, last 5 years, 6 years.
That was
No,
on.
didn't we just have the paperwork on it? I've got the paperwork at
Yeah.
home. A 77 Caprice was one vehicle, and the
Those
other vehicle
police,
was
I think it's some
the
band.
police vehicle or something.
That was another
Well,
one that was taken
we
off.
didn't have a 77 Caprice, we had a 77 Chevy van.
There was a van and a police car.
Document
Yeah.
what I have.
Caprice was a 92.
But just so the board's aware that if we do add or subtract, it's important to add and subtract.
Yeah.
Because the numbers do change.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one. I mean,
And-
I
Well,
think we
we-
discussed this before.
No, well, when we
We did,
did, we
yeah.
were all under the impression that we
We
can
paid
add
one
one or
fleet
subtract one.
price.
If we left one on, it didn't change the numbers. Because it's a fleet policy. The definition of fleet meaning they'll insure whatever we have, but if we add another vehicle, we're gonna pay for that extra vehicle.
Well,
If you add another
shouldn't the
vehicle,
person that does that know that? Who adds
I don't
and
disagree
subtracts
with
the
it.
vehicle?
All I'm saying is we were under the impression we could put 5 vehicles on and park them and we wouldn't pay for it. No, it does change.
And the only other thing I have is on September 13th, I don't know if we made a motion on this, I haven't had to review the tape, but on September 13th, the board decided that from now on, when anybody leaves the village office for any type of schooling whatsoever, that they would get board approval on it first. And I see in Mr. Sullivan in your report this month that you attended a drug alcohol class.
Yeah.
And with Donna Barcombe, and then also,
Terry Winkler.
yeah,
That's a DOT requirement.
yeah, that, well, the schooling as far as the drug and alcohol should have been approved by the board. Is that correct, what we
I
decided?
remember talking about, I'm not sure if there was a motion made or not, but everybody's in agreement that, geez,
Yeah, that we
anytime we're
should
paying
do
a
this.
village employee off village property to attend village business is fine for schooling or whatnot. The board should be made aware of
I
that.
think what brought this up is because sometimes we're sending guys out for water sewer treatment classes, and one guy would go 1 week, and the next week we would be sending somebody else when we were trying to
Yeah, it
see
was
if
a
the
timing
board could
issue on that
configure
last
them
one.
to where we could get everybody to go at the same time, save us some money. So,
Well, if you did that, you wouldn't have anybody here.
We don't have anybody here most of the summer as it is with
Yeah.
vacations and
but
everything.
anyway,
It's tough. It's
that
tough.
is one of our policies. We should follow that policy. If anybody's gonna leave the village office, and we made the policy, let's at least get board approval before we do it. That's it for me, except for executive session. I've got some legal issues and some personnel issues.
Okay, then, thank you, Trustee Barker.
Unless you know I left my correct pile at home, but
Okay.
from memory serving.
Trustee.
First, I would like to say thank Mary Freeman, who helped with the Halloween party that we had over at St. Mary's for the village. We had approximately 30 children show up. When it started, we had 2, and I was like, God. But then people trickled in. The kids seemed to have a really good time. Next year, we'll kind of expand on that and do more games with them. They really liked playing the games in costume and whatnot. McDonald's generously donated cups, napkins, and beverage, as well as prizes. They gave us gift certificates for french fries and sandwiches. So everybody came out with a certificate that I made up, and for each category. There were certain people that didn't win, I'm sorry. There were categories for winning, and they got a gift certificate for that. And also, Huye Facet down in Plattsburgh donated 10 dozen donuts for the event. So there was no money to taxpayers at all. I know that some people were concerned that that was a frivolous waste to do. It was all done on volunteer time and generous donations. So to let you know, it was nice. The kids really enjoyed it. One other thing, it was brought to my attention that the Plattsburgh town helped us on several occasions with the culvert pipes, with trucking and whatnot, and they were not publicly thanked. So I would like to publicly thank you. I think it's wonderful when we do all work together. That's a great thing. And I was also asked to bring up the dissolution of the village by a taxpayer, and I would like to bring that up during new business to discuss. There's a great formality in order to do that, and so I will bring it up at that point. And that's all I can remember of my notes. There were other things, but
Good job.
it's been one of those days.
Thank you, Trustee King. Trustee Poyer.
I don't have too much this evening. I'm sure that the whole board's got a copy of the Town of Champlain gathering. They asked if we post this or publicize it. Janice, did you or Donna get a chance to put this up on the bulletin or anything? Everybody got a copy. Did we post it to the public?
By the time clocks.
By the time clock?
Yeah.
And I guess there's a rabies clinic that's upcoming, department. This department would greatly appreciate your, this poster in your facility. Excuse me?
It was tonight.
Oh,
Is that what it says tonight? I know
Well-
the one on the board says tonight, I think.
this
Is
one
that-
doesn't have
Does it
it.
say where? Is this?
I think it's in Plattsburgh.
Okay, but usually they have them at the different fire stations also, so it's a matter of,
I think they already had it here.
This is the,
Yeah, we had ours in
That's on the
September
base, I think.
or October.
yeah.
Here.
It doesn't say a date or whatever. If you have any questions, whatever. Also,
It worked down there.
as we discussed at the last board meeting about a village van and the importance of it and whatever, just like to let you know that myself and Trustee Barker worked on a project for that purpose. We came up with one, obviously, a lot of you noticed it out front as you came in. The cost or the budget number we had to stay under was met and then some. So I'd like to pass these keys to the mayor of the village of Champlain as a donation from Carl Smith, James C. Smith, Carl Smith. He donated this to the village of Champlain. The total cost involved, I think, is under $300 for what sits there. The only thing left to be done is inspection. Needs a vehicle inspection. And at this time, I'd like to thank Carl, if he's watching, And also, I'd like to present him with a plaque or a token of appreciation, some type of a plaque device, which would still keep us under our dollar amount, whatever, in thanks to donating this to the Village of Champlain Public Works Department or whatever. So I'd like to make a motion on that, if anybody would like to second it.
Also, if I could, just for a moment, as a Deputy Commissioner of Tools and Equipment, I also would like to thank Mr. Carl Smith, Smith & Sons in Peterbilt, for his donation to the village. He has been very generous with not only the vehicle, but giving us a place and an opportunity to work on the vehicle at his property, which recently with the cold weather and doing a little bit of painting and things, it was very useful to us, and I can't thank him enough for what he's done for us. And I think all taxpayers, when you see Mr. Smith out there, what we all will during this winter season, please give him a thank you on your behalf. It was very nice and very generous of him. Thanks.
Yep, you're welcome. Thank you. So I'd like to make a motion. I think I did. You second. Does everybody sound right? Let's get the guy a plaque for the donation.
Well, I think we need something in recognition of
Yeah,
it.
just some kind of appreciation.
Nice plaque he can hang on his wall
I'll tell
somewhere.
you, Donna, if you want to do one on the village letterhead, I'll put it on one of our plaques like we got all over the village, and also do one up for Rainey for his donation of his paving and stuff. He can put it in his store.
Very good.
Yeah,
Okay?
kudos, very good. I think it's nice to be recognized.
Yes.
And again, I want to thank Trustee Barker and Trustee Poyer. And again, I would like to thank Mr. Smith, Carl, for his generous donation. We have been looking for a van because we need something. Ours was getting so it was unsafe. And it's nice that we have people in the community that would like to help us. Thank you again. Would there be anything else?
That's all I have this evening.
Report of clerk treasurer.
I copied everyone with the revenue expenditure report for October 31st of 2004. And we will ask for a public hearing. We'll do that after correspondence. We'll get to that. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mrs. Dawson. Any questions for our clerk treasurer? Okay, then we'll move on to our report of our superintendent.
Yeah, my written report. If you have any questions on it. You also have the wastewater treatment plant monthly work report, I believe.
Could I ask you, Mr. Sullivan, about, I see that Mr. Webb had set up that appointment with the DEC.
Yes,
How did that appointment go? I know you talked with him about dredging the river. What was the outcome of that, or do we?
Well, Mr. Poirier was present at the same meeting.
Yeah.
Could you fill us in on what they
were-
plan on doing something? Is it soon? Is it?
Everything's kind of tentative. They were open for all kinds of suggestions on what we thought in this area and our recommendation to go along with their facts or notes or whatever they had. I think the meeting went well. At the end of the meeting, Bob opted to go for a ride with them to show them, to actually get a visual on different locations throughout the village and comment and so ever. So I don't know how did that go well? I'm assuming it did.
Yeah, they took some pictures. Unfortunately, I wasn't here last winter, so I have no first-hand knowledge of the damage, but I had picked up some of it.
Yeah, I know we've been on this, I know the village has been involved in this for some 30 years now. Boy, I really think,
Touch and go.
wouldn't it be nice if we could just stop this flooding problem, where we could get people to build back downtown in the village, be able to get insurance coverage and maybe attract some new businesses downtown. So it's good to see that going on. My other concern is the Papillon building. I noticed that you discussed it with them, and they're exploring the possibilities of rehabbing this building.
Correct, and I called the attorney, the gentleman that owns the place last night, went through the same thing again. I told him about the problems with the roofs, this, that, the other thing, and he assures me that he's gonna do something now.
My problem, we've been dealing with this for about, I'm gonna say what, 5 or 6 months now. The previous owners, before they sold it, were gonna rehab the building, just hang on, we're gonna fix it, we're gonna fix it. My only concern, and I bring this up every month, we have got to get that building secure. Either, there's a fence around it, but it's all fallen down. Is there any, I know it's private property, but can we get him to put the fence up, put a barrier around the building to keep any kids from getting hurt? With winter coming, we all know it, water freezes, it's gonna crack more, we still got slate sliding off the roof.
Those are the two issues. You brought it to light that was something Mr. Webb had talked to him about, and I brought it back to light again, that this needed to be dealt with, so we didn't have falling objects on people.
Right. I think we gave him a 30-day notice in August to repair or something like this. Is this gonna happen soon, or?
I hadn't found the 30-day notice. I mean, you know.
I think I've got a copy of that.
I remember there was a 30-day notice.
All right.
Because at one board meeting, we had 15 or 10 days left to when Superintendent Webb we were gonna be able to find them or something. I mean, we're that serious about getting that building secure before somebody gets hurt, and then we're really stuck with a big problem.
You know, getting on this case.
Yeah, if you could, I mean, personally pursue that, and just, all we want is a building secure. That's, you know, I mean, we welcome if he's gonna rehab the building, but first, let's get it secure so it doesn't fall on anybody. That's about all I have.
I got one other thing to add on tools and equipment. I also, the sewer jet truck was finished, the repairs that Rose's Point so generously helped us out with, and was returned back to the village office today, just so the board knows. And it's back in operation. What we do need to do, and I think I mentioned it to Bob earlier, I was kind of in a hurry, he was on the phone in and out. We need to get a strainer installed in there. John Bernard states that he remembers putting a strainer, there was some type of a straining device to catch the debris from the tank.
Right, a wide strainer.
Yeah, and it's, right now there's a T and there was a screen put in there to catch that debris, but it's not a good, part of the problem that happened, there's a lot of debris that got right up into that pump. Luckily he saved, he took it all apart, cleaned it all out, flushed it and whatever. But it's very important before we put this back in service to get some type of a screen device, strainer, it would be ideal, in there to protect. He said it's pumping, you've got pressure back, everything's back to square
You want
one.
to make a motion that I can buy one, put in there?
They don't seem to last, the strainers, they also.
Not only would I like to make a motion on that, but I would like to make a motion on getting a poly tank. And I don't think it necessarily has to be UV protected because of the major price difference. I started doing some research on that.
I did too.
If we can cut a hole in that, drop it in, even a 500-gallon tank, I think would be okay. Obviously 1,000 would be great, but we'll have to do some measuring, see what best fits in there. I'd like to make the motion to get a strainer to prevent and protect the pump, so we don't run into this again. And to get a poly tank that best fits that. Now, I'm gonna guess a ballpark number of $500 to $600 for that tank. Am I close? I know the strainer's a couple hundred.
A self-supporting tank, I think, is more money. But I don't, it's been a long time since I researched.
Can this be done under $1,000, do you think?
I wouldn't hazard a guess right at this moment.
Well,